Tenchu Wrath of Heaven, a stealth action ninja game released in 2003 for PlayStation 2. This is the third installment in the Tenchu series, taking place a year after the events of the wildly popular first installment of the series, Tenchu Stealth Assassins. It was developed by the game studios K2 and Kurogane, and was published by Activision in the West and by FromSoft in Japanese markets. The game was well received in both Japanese and Western markets, topping the chart as best-selling PS2 game in the US for the month of March 2003. The solid launch of Tenchu Wrath of Heaven is a testament to the quality of this game as well as the strength of the Tenchu franchise, said Ron Dornink. Is that his name? The CEO of Activision Publishing at the time. In my younger years, I absolutely loved the Tenchu series, albeit the earlier installments absolutely wrecked me between the janky-ass tank controls and overall difficulty. My friends and I would take turns getting our asses whipped by the mongoloid enemy AI, or just falling victim to the horrid platforming. Wrath of Heaven improves upon nearly every feature of the previous installments, save for the story. Let's revisit this absolute classic and go through everything that made this game so special and incredibly frustrating, from the mechanics to design, from the music to the voice acting, and just the overall incredible atmosphere this game has. Tenchu is a ninja stealth action game, set in a fictional feudal era Japan, taking the supernatural and folklore of the time as inspiration. You play as one of the 3 selectable characters, 2 of which are the primary, reoccurring characters from the series. Rikimaru is the iconic, white-haired, physically powerful, but slightly slow-moving shinobi of the series, wielding a single legendary ninjato, the Izayoi. And if you didn't know what a ninjato is, that's the straight-looking katana. Ayame is the female kunoichi of the series, featuring dual-wielding, fast-striking kodachi, which are just 2 short swords, and boasts a faster movement speed, but deals significantly less damage with her strikes. And there's a third character, an unlockable character, whose name is Tesshu Fujioka, a doctor by day, hired assassin by night, who uses his medical knowledge and martial prowess to mangle and disfigure his enemies. Yes, he mangles and disfigures. Each character has access to a wide array of unique and situational tools to help overcome the odds. The items are a major feature of the game, but more on that later. Each character features a unique, yet somewhat similar storyline, a year after the showdown with Lord Mayo. The main story revolves around the appearance of a powerful sorcerer and his lords of darkness. You must use your ninja cunning, tools, abilities, to overcome his devious plots and save your lord's lands from this terrible threat. You are the instrument of divine punishment. A bit of a classic setup to a story. Nothing kind of exciting or new here, but just classic, you know? No multiverse, no subversion, no wonky millennial bullshit that goes into writing these days. Just a solid, straightforward story. So let's get into the most important aspect of any game and start with the gameplay. The mechanics of the game are rather simple. The main game mechanic revolves around remaining hidden and stealthily executing foes. While being simple in premise, it quickly becomes a challenging and engaging experience. This is achieved by requiring you to study the behavior of guards, use the terrain to your advantage, plan strategic advances, react and adapt to mistakes or unforeseen circumstances, avoid traps and pitfalls, and use a wide variety of ninja tools and special abilities. Compile all this together, and you may just succeed in becoming the embodiment of Silent Death, the Grandmaster Assassin. There are 10 level designs in total. This doesn't include the secret level, and each character is given different objectives, starting points, enemy layouts, and different plot interaction for each. They are effectively reimagining each level for each character, sometimes sharing similarities, and at other times completely different. Within this design, there are also 3 layouts for each level, for each character. The 3 layouts do not change the story at all, they only change the enemy placement and frequency. This adds a bit of replayability to the game, but not really much. Most levels revolve around assassinating a wretched, corrupted individual. Corruption, disgusting, freak, evil, demon, creature, things you want to get rid of, things you don't want around in your society. So the levels are linear in design. Going from point A to point B is typical, often ending with a boss encounter. In this way, even if you are able to avoid combat throughout a regular mission, you will eventually have to prove your prowess in combat as well. The environments range from idyllic Japanese medieval towns, treacherous and maze-like caves, to undead graveyards and trap-ridden, construct-infested castles. Some levels feature tight, cramped corridors with limited maneuverability, whereas others feature wide open spaces with large amounts of verticality, creating perfect opportunities for airborne attacks or for falling to your death. This game is just notorious for falling to your f***ing death. Oh! So frustrating. Okay, moving on. Each level you complete, you are awarded a ranking based on your performance. This ranking is based upon several criteria: your efficiency, stealth kills, and the amount of times you've been spotted. The most punishing criteria being the amount of times you've been spotted. And as this is a stealth game, that's rightly so. Depending on your ranking, you unlock new ninja tools and items. The lowest rank is that of Thug. Motherfucking Thug, bitch! With the highest being Grandmaster. There is a wide variety of enemy types and movesets, although most are humanoid in form, and all are able to be killed through means of stealth. You have samurai, ronin, archers, ninjas, demon ninjas, dogs, ninja babes, forest spirits, corrupted monks, undead, floating heads, creepy doll constructs, and whatever this thing is. I mean, just goddamn look at it. What is that? Its belly button is protruding out. It has a giant outie. It's some kind of demented Smeagol or something. What the fuck were they thinking making this? It's amazing. Certain enemies are even able to use items in the same way you are. Also civilians in certain levels who are not hostile. However, they will count towards spotting and alert guards nearby. They are an incredibly annoying feature of the game because their patrol patterns appear to be erratic, where they just spin randomly. Nothing is predictable about them. They don't have a set patrol pattern, so it's just you're bound to get caught, which forces you to kind of reevaluate the situation. So I guess they are kind of useful in a gameplay aspect, but they come across as more annoying. If you kill them, you get a penalty, yeah. Anyways, so the stealth mechanic is a bit aged by today's standards, but it's still incredibly fun. Next to the health bar, or as the game calls, the energy bar, there is a ninja sense window. It scales from 1 to 100, informing the player of the proximity of the nearest enemy and their alert status. There are 4 statuses: unaware is the default state of enemies, where they don't know of your presence. The gray question mark symbolizes this. In this state, you are able to activate stealth kills, and in general is where we want to stay. The suspicious state is where you are on the verge of being spotted from a distance, or the brief moment of surprise before entering spotted mode. This is symbolized by a flashing yellow exclamation mark, accompanied by the sound of a pounding doki doki heart. In this state, you are still able to activate a stealth kill, which is important for those face-to-face stealth kill animations. It's also important for those super clutch moments where you're on the verge of getting spotted, but you've just managed to pull off a stealth kill. Spotted is just that. You've been spotted, and now the guards will pursue you with unrelenting rage. It is symbolized with a flaming exclamation mark. Naturally, in this state, you are unable to sneak kill your opponent. If you manage to break line of sight from your pursuers, they will enter the searching state. Here they will show you how archaic their AI really is by moonwalking in a small circle, sometimes jumping to higher ground and effectively spotting you again, or at other times just being weird and useless. They do not continue pursuing at your last visible location. Rather, they just stop and give up, basically. After a certain amount of time of staying hidden, they will return to unaware state like nothing ever happened. So, we want to keep the enemies in an unaware state. Proximity and perspective of the enemies are the main things to consider when attempting to sneak. While the game doesn't consider illumination, the light or darkness or hiding in foliage and the like, at least I don't think it does. Nothing seems to suggest it does, and later installments in the Tenchu series do actually focus on illumination in their stealth mechanics, so I don't think it's a part of this game. The game, however, does have a simple sound mechanic. This only applies to splashing water, explosions, waking animals, and creaking anti-ninja castle floors. If you make a sound, it will trigger a searching state of anyone in a set radius. Above the energy bar, there are 9 kanji symbols. The player must fill the meters of each kanji symbol in order to unlock a new ability or combo for the given level. Each stealth kill you successfully execute, the meter builds. Depending on the orientation of the stealth kill, you are awarded more or less meter build. For example, approaching from the rear of an enemy, the most basic stealth kill rewards 1 full kanji. Initiating a stealth kill from the front of an enemy awards 1.5 kanji, as this approach requires you to activate the stealth kill in the very small time window between suspicious and spotted. Another thing to note is that some enemies don't have stealth kill animation sequences, like dogs and forest spirits. Upon filling the 9 symbols, we are treated with a cutscene, where the character will channel a divine power and recite something called the Kuji, an actual real meditative sutra and mantra of 9 symbols, typically coupled with 9 hand gestures that focuses on the energies of yin and yang. The game forgoes the real hand gestures, known as the Kuji no In, and replaces them for cinematic effect. The Kuji is connected to esoteric Japanese Buddhism or Taoism, and are associated with the 5 chakras or the 5 elements, among other things. While doing some research on this, it appears there are several translations of what exactly they mean, depending on the language, but in Japanese, here it is. Come warriors, fight as one, ready in formation, line up, and take position in front. Not as cool as just saying the Japanese syllables. Hey, the Kuji is definitely a rabbit hole of information, but I felt it was worth including a superficial rundown, as its presence in the game adds a layer of mystique and intrigue, deepening the mysterious nature of ninjas and their secret practices. Yeah, back to stealth mechanic, there is some considerable jank to the system. When I say considerable, I mean ample.
Damn it, he got away.
Feels like someone's watching.
I'll find you. What?
Yeah, I have hours of this footage, just hours. Them seeing me, unseeing me, seeing me, I see you. I see you. All that kind of stuff. It's hilarious. Anyways, when you press your attack input slightly too early or too late and not within the proper range of the enemy, the stealth animation will not activate, but rather you will do a normal attack. If your blade successfully manages to make contact with the enemy, it will still be a one-hit kill. Throughout my playthrough, there were multiple times I misjudged the distance from an enemy and went to press the attack button, the hardest being jumping stealth kills. I would say that there is a moderate amount of jank in how the game calculates when to initiate a stealth kill, or at least it is very specific and doesn't give much room for error. Now, this isn't really a negative. I feel it's suiting for how powerful the one-hit kill is, and for the lore of being a ninja, precise, deliberate, surgical. An example of when this system backfires is when I attempted to drop from the ceiling on enemies. I could never seem to time it quite right and just ended up falling awkwardly next to them like some fumbling idiot. And if you get too close, even though your character model appears to be not touching the enemies, the collision box will connect, causing them to instantly enter searching or spotted mode. To make matters worse, the normal attack pushes the character's body forward slightly before the attack strikes. This leads to your body making contact in the split second before your blade hits them, preventing a stealth kill and alerting your enemy. At least that's my theory, and I could very well be wrong. It might just be a skill issue, bro, but goddamn, when this happens, it's so goddamn frustrating because everything goes to and they hunt you down like wild maniacs. This brings us to the other half of the stealth mechanic. If you miss a stealth attack, things go south quite quickly. This game never failed to make me panic and literally sweat when I fumbled an approach and alerted every fucking lunatic within a 100-meter radius. And once you're spotted, you must either commit to battle or attempt to disappear. Disappearing is at times as simple as just going around the opposite side of an obstacle, causing severe brain damage to the pursuer, and making them completely incapable of remembering what they were doing or who they are or what 3D space is or what even this fucking game is. At other times, it's a complete shit show and they will hunt you to the ends of the earth. You'll panic and try to run, and in your frantic escape, you'll aggro another enemy. Then you'll think to flee to the safety of the rooftops, struggle with the camera to line up a grappling hook shot, and a split second before it connects, a spear will come out of frame, knocking your character down, alerting even more fucking enemies, and then you're surrounded by unrelenting fucking freaks and feel like a stupid bitch not worthy of even thug rank. Another issue to consider when weighing the option of running or standing your ground is each time an enemy spots you, the game will deduct a sizable amount of points from your ending score. Often when I attempted to run, I would get spotted again and again, trying to find the sweet spot of being outside the enemy's vision, but also not infringing into another enemy's territory or patrol. On the other hand, if you stay in fight and struggle to control and contain the battlefield, then you'll risk accruing more spottings from nearby enemies anyways. The enemies don't employ any overt group tactics per se, but there are some synergies between them. For example, in Rikimaru's graveyard mission, you are forced into arena-style combat against multiple undead opponents. The zombie samurais pursue you with their blades for close-range melee combat, while the archers fire unblockable volleys from afar, and the weirdo, loincloth pervert undead Oji-san guy, not sure the lore behind this fucking freak, comes and blows unblockable. Yeah, unblockable AoE fire attacks. It's like fighting a warrior, ranger, and mage all at the same time. Though, for the most part, the bulk of enemies are simply sword or spear wielding combatants. The enemy AI is very rudimentary, but this doesn't stop the game from being difficult at times. If you are spotted, the enemy will typically beeline towards you in a violent frenzy. However, if you just manage to slightly break line of sight, they become bumbling, idiotic dementia patients. They completely forget your existence quickly. Perhaps this is thanks to your incredible ninja abilities. Certainly not a shortcoming of the devs. That quirk of this system is after successfully evading the AI and they re-enter the unaware state, they will attempt to return to their predetermined patrol pattern. However, depending on how far you've drawn them away or the amount of obstacles that block their pathing can become extremely erratic as they try to return to their preset patrol. This creates a massive difficulty spike as they have no predictability, making a stealthy approach actual hell. In some rare cases, this confusion can work to your advantage, most notably if you have higher ground. If you attack from above, it doesn't really matter if they are doing paranoid 360 turns in rapid succession. This is a very strong strategy they use often, that they turn in 360 patterns just endlessly so it's impossible to approach them. I mean, I would probably do the same if I saw a ninja. I would just spin in circles, make sure all my corners are covered. I guess it's realistic AI, even though it looks fucking ridiculous. Okay, let's move on to the controls. The controls are archaic by today's standards, and you'll often find yourself struggling with the camera. Although, to be fair, AAA studios seem to struggle with this even today, so is it really a critique if they can't get it figured out 20 years ago? So the camera might be the main antagonist of the game. The camera has an exponential movement speed. In other words, you'll press the thumbstick in one direction, the camera will start extremely slow and sluggish. That's perfect for a ninja game. Yeah, you want your camera to be slow and sluggish. Then, as you hold it, it will skyrocket in speed. So yeah, you have this slow, sluggish start. You can't respond quickly, so you press and hold it longer than you need to, and it exponentially speeds up, so you overshoot the direction you'd like to look, then panic to correct, which is a slow, sluggish return back to the correct direction, and all of this is trying to maneuver effortlessly without being seen as someone's like approaching you or is on the verge of spotting you. It is incredibly frustrating, this camera. Anyways, so yeah, the camera gets worse, by the way. It gets even worse. The camera also has an intuitive look below feature. This sounds great, right? It'll intuitively reorientate itself to help you look down. When you approach an edge or a decline in elevation, the camera will instinctively tilt your view downwards. And this sounds good, right? Because you'll probably be on a roof and you'll probably be looking down at your suspect, but in reality, this is an incredible unforgettable double-edged sword. There will be times where you don't want to look down, yet the ground or the roof or wherever you're standing has a slight negative elevation, forcing you to look down. The angle of the camera doesn't match the angle of the roof or the elevation you're on. It'll force you to look significantly down, limiting your field of view. The amount of times I was trying to look up, but the camera forced me to look down because of decline or incline are innumerable. It is so frustrating. Anyway, let's move on to combat. And if you're liking this video, please hit the like button. Combat. As a FromSoft game, published by FromSoft, combat can be very unforgiving. Enemies vary from being extreme pushovers to being harder than bosses. Each enemy type has a unique moveset ranging from agile ninjas who have quick attacks to floating heads that puke green goop on you. Not sure the lore behind that one either. On another interesting note, I have a theory that enemies are randomly assigned different fighting abilities, like a fighting value, competency in combat. For example, you might encounter a basic ninja, one you've faced in combat many times and easily crushed with a few lazy smashes of the square button. However, randomly, you'll come across the same enemy type, but this time they perfectly block your attacks, interrupt your combos, and time their own strikes in the incredibly small frame between yours. They become unstoppable fucking freaks, causing you to panic spam bombs and health potions, and it happens several times throughout my playthroughs, enough for me to believe there is something going on in the code. It just doesn't make sense why some are incapable of fighting, and then others just like the battle can last upwards of 2 minutes or 3 minutes, or just end with you dying, basically. Let me know if you've noticed this too in your own playthroughs. As a whole, the combat definitely feels a bit sluggish. A part of this is due to whichever character you're playing. Rikimaru is obviously a bit more sluggish in how he moves and how he attacks, but in general, there's a significant delay between the end of your attack animation and being able to block, so it's very punishing. If you commit to an attack and the enemy blocks, you're inevitably left open, allowing them to riposte with no available recourse of your own. You just stand there and take it like a bitch. I didn't realize until much later that you can interrupt your attack combo by holding R2 and sidestepping. I should have read the tutorial. This is another skill issue. Noob here, sorry. You have your basic attack combo, which can be modified depending on the combo you execute. You can also grab enemies and they can grab you. If you knock an opponent prone, you can fit in an extra strike either from a jump attack or from a single standing strike. The jumping attack is much more reliable as you only have a limited time to attack while they are prone, and the standing strike suffers from a very slow animation. In general, the combat feels like it suffers from a severe lack of testing, or maybe balancing was just an issue. We'll talk later about items, but maybe they felt like if you could fight better, more reliably and more controlled, that you wouldn't use your items as much. So then items became OP, kind of. Certain items anyways. I don't know the theory or what they were going for with this. One-on-one combat is not that bad unless you're paired up against one of the psychotic AI super Chad absolute ass wreckers that come through every once in a while. Once you get the patterns down and find out which combos seem to work more often, also it helps if you've unlocked some of the powerful equipment that you can find throughout the levels. If it's 2-on-1 combat, it's quickly unmanageable. You got to use some repositioning or get lucky, or you have to use a ninja tool or an item. 3-on-1 and above, it can only really be solved by using kiting. You have to kite them and hope that they have different speed values to each enemy, or you just have to spam bombs. Really, it just comes down to getting lucky and not getting stun locked. Let's talk about the abilities a bit. So the ninja abilities are varied and each bring a unique utility to the game. Some are absolute dogshit useless. Ninja Sight allows the player to zoom in long distances and has the benefit of increasing the range of your thrown weapons. I didn't really use this. Ceiling Cling allows you to grapple to a ceiling and hold yourself there, which is absolutely great. This is an absolute S tier ability for those tight corridors. You just grapple up to the ceiling, wait for them to come underneath you, and then drop down and kill them. However, you have a certain time limit because it requires great strength to hold yourself to a ceiling, I can imagine. Eventually you will fall. It does come with the caveat of often when you try to line that shit up, your timing on the attack is wrong, or they go a bit past you, so you land just behind them. It comes with some severe caveats if you're not a pro like me. Ninja Mind Control is, well, Ninja mind control. If you successfully land a very short range attack on an enemy, they will no longer attack you, instead opting for their colleagues. You can still attack them though, so even if it's one-on-one, you can basically turn off their AI and freely kill them. To be honest, I didn't get much use of this in my playthrough, as I would usually run from battles. I opted for more subterfuge than combat, but I could see this being pretty interesting if you didn't care about your ninja rank and just went full combat. Feign death. This ability allows the player to commit seppuku. Yes, you actually just kind of gut yourself and die in front of an enemy. This lures your enemy into investigating your corpse. As a master of deception, you aren't actually dead and you spring forth and execute them. At least that's what the ability flavor text advertises, but in my testing, I could never get this to work. Not even once. So if you use it in combat, they don't fall for it. It doesn't do anything. They just come and smash you. The only way I could see this working is by feigning death in the midst of a patrol route while the enemy has their back turned. Then when they turn, they will come investigate your body, giving you the opportunity to strike. It's important to add that while you're feigning your death, you are spilling out blood. I mean, it's not really feigning if you actually gut yourself, but okay. But it does not completely kill you. So you can go down to 1 energy or 1 life. Yeah, that's a pretty hardcore bit to commit to for absolutely no payoff or use. Do you want to commit seppuku? Well, now you can. Cool an idea, but goddamn, they fumbled the execution completely. Wrath of Heaven, the namesake of the game and the final unlockable ability. The player channels their divine punishment into a single brilliant attack that instantly eviscerates an enemy. It is slow to activate and comes at the cost of consuming your life force, setting you to 1 energy. In this way, it's a bit risky. If you miss, you're pretty much guaranteed to die, but insta-killing an enemy is always cool. This game prevents you from spamming this by requiring you to have more than 1 energy point in order to use it. In other words, you have to heal before you could use it again. I did some testing with this. I tried it on bosses, first trying it on Nasu, and found that it instantly killed him, albeit it skipped the animation. I thought the animation was skipped because of the smoke bomb, but it was a messy experiment to say the least. So I tried it on Ganda, the giant, definitely not juicing mongoloid from a later mission. I trapped his leg in a tiger claw, yeah, not a bear claw, a tiger claw, and used the ability. Unfortunately, it doesn't instantly kill bosses, but rather it deals a significant amount of damage. Sad. Now let's move on to the story mode, the main aspect of the game. Let's start with Rikimaru, the white-haired legendary ninja master of the game series. He is the leader of the Azuma ninja clan, who are under the employ of Lord Goda. Rikimaru was born as a son to a samurai. His father was ordered to be assassinated, and the whole ordeal led to both his parents being killed. Though, throughout the ordeal, mercy was granted to the young boy, and he was taken under the tutelage of Azuma Shunsai, the mysterious Grand Master of the Azuma Ninja Clan. From there, and under rigorous training, he became the deadly master ninja he is today. He features a scar above his right eye, which is his classic badass character design. He also wields the magical blade Izayoi, which has been passed down throughout the Azuma lineage. Rikimaru has a great backstory, but for the purposes of this video, I won't go into depth. If you're interested in the backstory from the previous Tenchu games, I am planning a retrospective. Depending on when you're watching this, it may already be available or in the works. Rikimaru's story opens with a shot of the portal to the underworld from the end of the first game. Rikimaru is assumed to have died during the conflict, sacrificing himself to save others from falling boulders. But nonetheless, we see Rikimaru standing in front of the portal's entrance. Instantly, the mystery of if Rikimaru is alive or dead is gone. Well, I mean, he's on the front cover of the game. It's obvious that he didn't die. It's a bit more complicated than that. So we are quickly given control and walk along a gentle stream to reach a scenic vista and a giant waterfall. After an Assassin's Creed style leap of faith, the ninja uses some chant-like spell to hit the water unharmed. With that, we begin the game proper. Mission 1. The first mission, punish the evil merchant. So we've been ordered to kill this evil merchant. Oh wait, this is the wrong game. Sorry. After the conflict involving Lord Mayo, the lands of Lord Goda enjoyed a short sprint of peace. However, in times of peace, evil slowly blossoms, and we are dispatched to cleanse the corruption within our state. We are tasked with assassinating Nasu, one of Goda's statesmen, and Echigoya's son, Tokubei. This style of mission has become a reoccurring trope in the series. If you've played the first mission from Tenchu Stealth Assassins, then this will be a familiar premise, as you were tasked with killing Echigoya, who was also a corrupt merchant. Tokubei is responsible for loaning money to desperate villagers, and when they inevitably are unable to repay their debt, Tokubei takes their daughters and sells them right into slavery. Nasu, as a statesman who would normally prosecute such abuses of the law and human dignity, is being bribed to look the other way. And so you've been assigned to exact divine punishment on the wicked merchant and statesman. We start with a limited selection of weapons and tools, but this will grow as we progress throughout the story. I opt to bring a couple health potions. The mission opens with a cutscene showing the corruption and depravity of the two targets. Let's just take a moment to appreciate the voice acting that is in this game.
Hi, Nasu-sama, my ex.
Also, let's take a moment to appreciate the brevity of the cutscene, and while yes, it is somewhat cheesy, it lays out the character of the targets and why they deserve to be punished in under a minute. I long for games to return to this format, clear, concise, and unencumbering dialogue cutscenes rather than the long-winded, sarcastic, lecturing, ham-fisted, millennial soy Marvel movie writing we are forced to endure in the current year. We start on the outskirts of the estate and quickly infiltrate using our grappling hook. Immediately, I'm deeply immersed by the excellent atmosphere, the music, the sound effects. The developers really nailed the synergy between all these elements to create an engaging game. Also, there's a random piece of shit on the ground. I'm immersed. I didn't know this game was set in India. Why is there a random piece of shit on the ground? I actually don't get this. Maybe like the developers thought you start out as just a lowly piece of shit, and by the end of it you're a god. Maybe that's what they were thinking, but it's just kind of funny that there's an actual literal piece of human shit or dog shit on the ground. So, as we progress through, we encounter a few guards partying inside a room, door ajar. We are given a zoom in on a key, followed by the corresponding door. This, however, is actually optional. Most levels in this game feature separate paths you can take to get to your objective. Rather than facing 3 guards simultaneously, we opt to take the path of subtlety and crawl into a dark, dingy hole. However, we are faced with a very tight intersection with extreme blind spots. If you are patient, you can study your ninja sense meter and deduct whether the enemy would be approaching your position or not. But I am not patient, so I decide to YOLO out there and I'm instantly spotted. We make a quick escape to the rooftops, a bit amateur, but I'm still getting my feet wet here. After systematically cleaning up the guards patrolling outside, we make our way inside the main structure. We go through the rather maze-like corridors and get lost multiple times, but through trial and error and verticality, we eventually make it to our first boss, a tri-barrel pistol and sword-wielding henchman of Tokubei, Tajima. Here we get our first taste of the over-the-top attack animations that enemy bosses have. He uppercuts us into the air and juggles our body with his hand cannon. Then, in a true gun nut fashion, with what I can only assume is a half-chub hidden beneath his garments, he sniffs or licks the length of his gun barrel in a self-satisfied display of pride. It's interesting. It's fun. It's not boring. It's not realistic, but I don't need realism in my game. All this aside, we managed to get up after being shot multiple times and just spam our basic attack until he inevitably collapses into his blood-spewing death animation, which is also a very classic of this series. I especially love the earlier games where the blood makes so much sounds. So the last words of enemies are also an excellent feature of this game, adding a healthy dose of that cheesy Shakespearean dramatics. We continue onwards, felling our foes from the shadows, and eventually unlock our first ability, the shoulder thrust. This attack is great for getting distance between our enemies, or for knocking them into oblivion, like into death pits. It's also relatively easy to pull off. I'll be using this ability throughout the entire playthrough, so it's a very good ability. We make our way through more hallways, into an attic area, then finally land upon the final room, when we are blessed with this cutscene.
Come on! There you are. You certainly are a big girl. Now, relax. Don't be so tense. Your clothing is a little different. What?
After getting our junk fondled by a fat man, we are thrust into combat with 2 guards and Nasu hanging in the back. I choose to hurl a grenade into their face. You'll see this being a common practice throughout my run. If fondling my junk wasn't enough, he then knees me in my junk, and once you deplete Nasu's health to a certain point, he will feign submission, sometimes offering an item in front of where he cowers. Believe it or not, this is a trap leading to a powerful, unblockable upward slash that sends you flying. As a kid, I fell for this trap, but in my adult age, I did remember this from my childhood, so I expertly dodged the fake out and murdered him. The final cutscene reveals that there is an insider within Lord Goda's castle, who is also in on the operation.
Kill me! A man in Goda Castle on the inside!
A traitor? Who?
He wears glasses. Name's Hamada. It was all his idea. I'll tell you everything. Just please spare me my life.
Tokubei is then mysteriously killed as he is spilling this information. Rikimaru rushes to investigate, where he glimpses a fleeing Onikage. Onikage is also a reoccurring character. Rikimaru remarks that Onikage should be dead. This is a very common motif throughout Rikimaru's story. Those who should be dead aren't. Rikimaru himself should be dead, yet he isn't. But more on that later. We only get expert ninja, but that's to be expected for some major sloppy moves. I later return and grandmaster every mission, which if you're interested you can check out my live stream archive. We now go to the second mission. Following up on the information the worm Tokubei gave us, we proceed to Lord Goda's castle to eliminate the traitor Hamada, who wears glasses. I'm not sure why the game draws attention to this feature. Perhaps it was the rarity of someone wearing glasses in medieval Japan, or perhaps the game is mogging on sight cells. The quirk of this mission is that Goda's men do not know of our existence, as in being a ninja employed by Lord Goda, so they'll attack us on sight. And with our allegiance to Goda, we cannot kill any of these men, so the game foists a passive playstyle upon us, which makes for interesting changes to technique and planning. We get a quick shot of Hamada's strangely close together eyes and the level begins. We deftly proceed in true shinobi fashion, unnoticed, and make it to Hamada, and without a single word, we drive our blade through his traitorous spine. Suddenly, the castle is ambushed by enemy ninjas, and they massacre every guard effortlessly. Those are some great guards, Goda. Very competent. We exit the room and are spotted while stuck in an execution animation.
Excuse me? Shit, get down. Roll, avoid. Go, run. Oh shit, he saw me.
This was before I knew there was a button to skip the animation. This is pretty important for when you're in very clutch situations where there's multiple people within proximity of each other. This level did confuse me somewhat in its layout.
Where am I going? I'm not even... the maps are a bit confusing in this game.
Levels often require grappling to adjoining attics or crawling through tunnels to proceed, which is to say there is no straightforward path through doors, which makes me wonder who built this castle and how the inhabitants navigate it. But what it lacks in logic and coherence, it makes up for in gameplay. This isn't just your regular hallway simulator. We continue on, unlocking the ability of this level, the ninjutsu block. If you block as the enemy attacks, you will stagger the enemy and interrupt their combo, theoretically leaving them open to a riposte. This ability, while appearing excellent on the surface, is unexpectedly useless. The blocking in this game is quite frustrating, as it appears to have a delay. The enemy has almost no tells as to when they attack. Be that as it may, it's actually somewhat reliable to pull off the ninjutsu block. But the major issue is that the stagger on the enemy is not long enough for you to get close enough and attack them. So you ninjutsu block, the enemy recoils out of range, and nothing changes in the balance of power. It's ridiculous. I suppose it does have some value in that you can slightly reposition yourself or have a moment's break in the combat, but as a whole, I feel like this wasn't properly tested. We continue through the halls of our lord's castle, cross the roofs of adjoining towers, which is very cool, and make it to his immaculately clean, reflective floored chambers, very Kino. Goda is taken aback by Rikimaru's presence as he was presumed dead. following the showdown with Lord Meo. Rikimaru then explains he managed to survive using the ninja deep sleep technique. He doesn't explain what that is. Rikimaru continues to explain that during his slumber, he sent his shadow in his stead to come to the aid of his lord. Ayame, who is the other main character in the story, is skeptical of whether the Rikimaru before her is indeed real or a shadow in this exchange. We are treated to this cutscene.
I am Rikimaru. I am a shadow.
And Rikimaru, so far, undefeated for one-liners. Mission 3, Limestone Cavern. This game explains the ninja attack had the purpose of preventing Rikimaru from reaching Lord Goda. A crystal residue that was found upon the fallen ninja's clothing indicates that they had come from the Limestone Caverns. According to a rumor, the Shishito sword, the blade wielded by the late Lord Meo, is hidden within the caverns, attracting evil to it. Between the origins of the ninjas and the rumor of the sword, we make it to our next target to investigate. If you've played previous Tenchu games, perhaps you'll agree with me that the cave missions are quite difficult. The pits, the fucking death pits, the fucking death pits in caves, and the in maze-like layouts. This mission gave me quite a bit of trouble. You're thrust into a beginning area of a tower manned with a ninja surrounded by shallow water and 2 ninja guards in the distance. During my Grandmaster runs, I later figured out how to dispatch them reliably, but initially I kept alerting one of them from the water, or being slightly too slow on my approach, or being spotted mid-execution. Either way, we make it through this starting area and enter the caverns. The game occasionally has scripted dialogue between NPCs. For the most part, it has no impact on the game, but in this mission, the 2 guards speak of treasure located by the waters. The other guards responds with this.
The doctor said I should stay away from any excitement.
We oblige his doctor's order and remove any excitement from his life by driving our sword through his organs and twisting it. This level features multiple paths, and following up on the guard's rumors, I do decide to check out the waterfront to see if there is treasure. We come to a sketchy platforming section. In this section, we get to see the archaic collisions and modeling. They actually enhance the tension because you wonder to yourself if your character model will fit or fall through. We find a grenade and 2 health potions. Is that the goddamn treasure? A grenade and 2 health potions. Well, to be honest, the grenade is the best item in the game, so maybe it is a treasure. Going deeper, we unlock our next ability, Ninja Vision. This allows us to zoom the camera in and throw items farther. Quite useful for getting close-ups on enemy design. When you want to see that weird freak in the distance, you can get a close-up now. We eventually make our way to this cavern. I revile this cavern. The floor is filled with shallow water and is for the most part largely unobstructed and has tiered levels to it, almost like rice fields. There are also multiple enemies within view of each other, so if you're wishing to approach stealthily, you are limited to crouching forward, moving at a snail's pace. This is because if you run in water, you'll trigger all of the enemies. If you crouch and move through water and roll, then you're okay. It makes no sound, but you're very slow. Rolls can also be a bit erratic too, somewhat unwieldy. If you slip up even once, move even 1 pixel outside of holding crouch, this will enrage everyone within 100 meters. I somehow make it through, whether by luck or my ninjutsu mastery, but we make it through. We find the Shishito sword, and with it, the portal to the underworld. And with that, Onikage. Rikimaru remarks, "But Onikage, I saw you die." And if you've played the first installment in the Tenchu series, then Rikimaru should not be that surprised, because in that game, you fight him like 3 or 4 times, and each time you think he's dead, then he just comes back again. And my god, they took this trope and kept it the same in this game. This guy just refuses to die. It's just ridiculous. Again, it feels like everyone who is supposed to be dead is just not. Onikage then explains that a man named Tenrai has resurrected him on the stipulation he acquires the Shishito sword. He then kindly explains that the sword is effectively a key to the portal, allowing him to bring Meo back to this world. Time to fight Onikage. I proceed to throw bombs into his face. He goes down like a bitch. However, in my cockiness, I leave myself open and the real Onikage appears from behind, cutting our throat with a kunai. Okay, Yeah, I guess Onikage also had a shadow. This game really doesn't shy away from overusing the drama of people not really being dead. Onikage then begins the summoning ritual with the Shichishito sword. However, something goes awry. The sword splits off, and from the heavens, Izayoi, the Azuma clan's signature blade, plummets down. It begins vibrating from a building power within, reacting with the nearby portal. With a glorious blast of lightning, Rikimaru catapults out of the portal, landing with a tremendous explosion. He draws Izayoi from the stone, and we begin our next battle.
I'm back to take you down again, Onikage.
Seeing as this is the real Rikimaru, I figured there would be increased strength or new cool abilities, so I decide to try fighting Onikage in a fair fight. Onikage has some brutal attacks, his quick 3-strike front kick being one of the most annoying. Fuck. After he feeds me 3 shots, I quickly revert to my tried and true technique and proceed to throw a bomb in his face. Alas though, it's not enough to kill him. I'm now out of my grenades and I have to fight him honorably. Well, as honorable as a ninja should be. He then rearranges our intestines.
He just grabbed me. And impaled me.
However, we emerge the victor. In a strange turn of fate, this game feels much easier than when I was a child. Even if the combat is sluggish, archaic, I find myself besting the bosses with relative ease. Did I grow up to be an epic gamer or what? We retrieve the sword and are ambushed by rival ninjas. While distracted, Onikage, who had feigned death, Of course he feigned death. No one dies, okay? No one actually dies. So while distracted, Onikage, who had feigned death, musters a sneak attack, slashing our right eye and making us much more cooler. He then remarks that only Lord Mayo could have survived hiding in the portal. He then decides to let us live, I guess? So he can kill us another day? I don't know. I think I still have a ninja rebirth. Pretty sure you're done, bro. Cope and seethe, Onikage, you fake. Also, the rival ninjas just sit and watch? Okay. Not the best coherence going on, but still intriguing and helps build the nemesis relationship between Onikage and Rikimaru. Only expert ninja on that one, fumbled the ball a few too many times. In any case, with the Shichishito sword in our possession and the true Rikimaru back, we proceed forward to Mission 4. Mission 4. In the opening dialogue, we are told that the Rikimaru we've been controlling thus far was indeed only a shadow. This is apparently common practice for Azuma ninjas to replace themselves with shadows when thought to be dead. Does this mean Onikage is also an Azuma ninja, as he used a shadow in the previous mission? Or is this not exclusive to Azuma ninjas? Or was that a different illusory ability used by Onikage? And what is a shadow? Are they real people who are effectively stunt doubles for ninjas? Or are they some kind of mirror image physical manifestation ninjutsu ability? It seems a bit OP. The dialogue also informs us that Rikimaru returned from the same portal as Mayo. Then it informs us that Kiku, the daughter of Lord Goda, has been kidnapped. Another big L for the fucking guards of Lord Goda. How do they do anything? The kidnappers left a letter as to where she was taken as an act of courtesy. That's very nice of them. With their sights on Amagai Castle, we must first pass through a Ronin village. I choose my usual loadout of grenades and health potions. We are shown a brief cutscene of a mysterious Ronin overlooking the Ronin village. That's a lot of Ronin. He remarks that everything is going according to plan as he cites Rikimaru's approach. I guess we are falling into a trap. Wow, they left instructions of where to go, and would you know it, there's a trap. Huh, imagine that. Also worth mentioning, this character doesn't appear ever again in this story. I wonder if they forgot about him or just didn't end up implementing him. But I love this mission. This is what you want from a ninja game. Between the pouring rain and the quintessential medieval Japanese town, it creates the perfect sandbox for immersing yourself as a ninja. The open design allows you multiple approaches to take, so you have a lot of player freedom. Will you move methodically between the houses, streets, and alleyways, or will you perch atop the roofs and stalk from above? There's a mix of civilians and Ronins throughout, forcing you to reconsider your attacks, lest they be discovered by the innocents. The mission is subdivided into 4 main areas. The second area proves to be the most difficult in my opinion, as you are forced into shallow water, making mobility limited, and are at a disadvantaged lower elevation, making it easy for the surrounding guards to see you if you're not extremely methodical. We proceed our deadly advance. points and unlock our next ability, the grappling hook combo. The game alleges if you manage to land a 360 slash on the enemy, you can press triangle to use your grappling hook to reel the enemy back in. Now, I don't know if I'm retarded, but I've tried hundreds of times to get this goddamn combo. I've never successfully activated, not even once. Have you been able to use this? Leave a comment, please. The next area features giant barrels with some kind of large kanji written upon them. Upon closer inspection, it appears that these barrels are full of sake. They are just upside down. Is this like a legitimate historical thing? Massive barrels of sake just in a field? We use the barrels to our advantage and dispatch the 3 patrolling guards here. We crawl through a water system and make our way to the final area, an expansive tiered house area. I get spotted again in my sloppiness, and we wrap up the mission. No boss fight, no cutscene, just a straightforward level. I was somehow spotted 9 times. I have brought great shame to my ancestors. Whatever, we are now onto the castle to save Kiku. Mission 5. In the introductory dialogue, we are told Amagai Castle has been abandoned and replaced by strange wooden robots. This level is ridden with traps, which you will soon see me fall victim to many times. This level actually frightened me when I was a kid. The soundtrack is more experimental than the others, but it is memorable and fitting for the unnerving and harrowing castle corridors with the demented constructs robotically prowling them. While the construct enemies are relatively easy to dispatch, the terrain and environment itself become the main threats of the mission. So my first attempt ended with me self-destructing in a lava pit because I was immediately spotted. The second attempt also had me land in a lava pit from jumping and hitting the ceiling. If you land in a lava pit, you must use your grappling hook to get out. However, the window between taking damage is quite tight, and you have to be quick about lining up your grappling shot between taking damage. Otherwise, you'll die. And each time you get hit, your camera reticule for the grappling hook resets. So you have to keep trying over and over again to line up the shot in the very small window before you get the damage of the lava. It's incredibly annoying. We come across our first look at one of the most unique enemies in the game, the weird construct doll guy. What are these things? How are they operating? How are they running? What is the energy they use? Is it magic? Is it actually mechanical construct genius? This guy, he's protected by a ceiling spear stab trap, but we expertly roll beneath and deal our lethal blow. We proceed to get stabbed by a wall spear trap when trying to finish off a wooden samurai who fell below. Going forward, we come across secret spinning wall doors, activated only by pressing your back against them. This castle grows more mysterious and forbidding as we proceed forward. I then take a few steps around a corner and immediately fall to my death. Yes, I may have 2 ninja rebirths, but they don't work if you fall to your death. So back to the beginning we go. We return to where we last left off, and now sufficiently paranoid of everything in this goddamn fucking castle, I hesitate before entering. By the foreboding chains by the entrance, the holes in the walls, and the bomb so innocently placed in the corner as bait, this is obviously a trap, but I love bombs, so I roll on in. Naturally, a giant steampunk gear crashes down behind me, and smoke bombs shoot out from the windows, stunning me in place, and then, in what can only be ironic fate, I am blasted by my most beloved weapon, the grenade. I chug a potion and grapple my way to safety. We proceed upwards, climbing deeper into the fortress, crossing perilous traps and killing the constructs along the way. I come across a hallway that is clearly trapped. I attempt to bridge the gap by grappling all the way to the end, but my grappling hook is a bit shy, and I manage to tickle the trapped floor enough to send an explosive directly into my face, blasting me back across the hallway.
What?
Second time is the charm. Again, the mission tempts me with another bomb, this time the trap being the floor falling out. I'm not sure this is lethal, however, but didn't choose to investigate. At this point, I am freaking out, and my paranoia is incredibly high. Any change in floor tiling has me panicking. I choose to go through a secret door haphazardly, upon which a ceiling spike trap is triggered. I grab the present in the center of the room and manage to make it out in time, lucking out even more by exiting the room in the blind spot of the patrolling demented doll robot. And let me tell you, this item we've just found will become indispensable throughout the run. It is the Stone of Power. Effectively doubles our attack damage as long as it's in our inventory. We make a couple sketchy grappling hooks across meat grinder gear traps. Okay, let's hope that he grabs the ledge. If not, I'm dead. Okay, he grabbed the ledge. Nice. I'm sweating. We now come across a gap filled with scythes that remind me of Ocarina of Time, the Shadow Temple. I proceed to launch myself directly into the blade, sending me tumbling to the ground below. Yes, if you just like touch the blade, even when it's not going down on its downward trajectory, you get damaged. I'm now on the ground below. Surely, there can't be trapdoors here as well. I first step onto one trapped floor, somehow managing to grab the ledge of the floor. My heart absolutely races as I believe myself spared, only to stand up and realize this floor too is trapped. I fall to my death. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? The game fucking bamboozles me like that. Fuck off. I actually appreciate this kind of level design. Even though it is incredibly frustrating, that's actually a good trap design. A trap within a trap within a trap. This is trap inception going on here. So I start the level over once more, this time with more efficiency, more confidence as I know the traps. We unlock the next ability, Ceiling Cling. It allows us to hug against the ceiling for a limited amount of time, and you can use certain items from above. It's mostly useful to plant yourself in the midst of a patrol when there is no obstacles to obstruct your approach. We get back to the Legend of Zelda guillotine trap. I proceed once again to hurl myself into the blades. Not taking chances this time, I grapple out without walking around much and somehow kill an archer without actually hitting him. We make it to the final room to face this level's boss.
Princess. It's the princess.
What the hell?
Welcome, Rikimaru.
Who are you?
I am an inventor, a scientist. Call me Dr. Kimaira.
This fucking freak is Dr. Kimaira, a doll fetish otaku nerd loser who has Mai Hime, a giant wooden female sex construct affixed to his back. He says for the doll to arise, which seems to suggest the doll has its own sentience. I'm not sure if he controls it or some kind of magic is at play here. All I know is that a goon-pilled, demented pervert, degenerate like this, needs to receive some divine punishment. As I'm emulating this fight, there was a weird quirk where upon this specific spinning attack, the game would slow to a crawl. I fixed this later by changing some settings, but very weird that this is the only attack in the game that had this effect. Anyway, he's a pushover. We put down this weirdo incel Churun and rescue Princess Kiku. He explodes behind us. He just blows up. Okay. We are treated with a sweet moment between the two. Rescuing the princess trope always feels good. Imagine not trying to subvert the player's expectations and dealing a wholesome, traditional plot point. Imagine that. I couldn't imagine that. Not me. Ayame enters and is instructed by Rikimaru to look after the princess. He shows that Izayoi has been damaged and needs repair, which I guess makes sense because we blocked that spinning attack that was so powerful it bent space and time and destroyed my emulator. We are then shown a scene of several blue candles illuminated in the darkness. The one in the foreground is suddenly extinguished. The camera pans to our first glimpse of the main antagonist of Rikimaru's story, Tenrai, although his name isn't revealed here. A tall, aged, chonmage sporting, lavishly robed man holding a staff. He remarks that Kimaira, the weird otaku goon-pilled guy, has fallen. Each candle represents one of his operatives. This makes me think of the film Ninja Scroll or of the series Trigun, where there is a group of secret mini-bosses that slowly get eradicated one by the protagonist. For getting Grandmaster on this mission, we receive the invisibility spell, the most OP item in the game, perhaps. I didn't use this until my Grandmaster run, not realizing the power I had just unlocked. Mission 6. The Graveyard. We make our way to the Master Swordsmith and are given a choice as to how to proceed with the repairs. We can either use steel on hand to repair the Izayoi, which may dilute the power, or we can risk mixing steel from the equally powerful Shichishito sword. However, that sword is the sword of the Lord of the Underworld. It could be safely assumed that it would have some sort of corrupting effect on the blade, you know, infusing a demonic blade into a holy blade. That might be a bad one. So yeah, obviously I choose that option. It seems more interesting. If it was actually me in real life though, I would just use normal steel, okay? I wouldn't risk implementing demonic stuff into a holy blade. Anyways, this choice actually has 0 in-game consequences. The only thing it changes is a single dialogue with Onikage later on. It really feels like a missed opportunity. This is kind of the first one of the major indications I got that something about Rikimaru's storyline feels rushed, like they didn't really flesh it out. Our routine loadout slightly changes now, as we opt for the Stone of Power, a ninja rebirth, and of course grenades, so still the same in that way. As we discuss the repairs with Resai, a guttural scream emanates in the distance. We have been followed. Resai gives us his family's sword, the Muramasa. This blade drains the user's life, but does not kill them entirely as it is wielded. It allows the user to slay the undead abominations that plague this cemetery. Upon each attack or kill, the blade siphons health to its user. Why Resai and his family decided to stay living in a cemetery under constant attack from undead horrors is beyond me, but it's also pretty badass. In exchange for the repairs and Muramasa, he requests that we grab some metal for him from a house in the cemetery. Okay, why is the metal all the way over there? Like, what? Is it his house? Is he like a gravekeeper? I don't really get Resai, but he's cool, I guess. This mission freaked me out as a child. The enemies are demented. The soundtrack is eerie, experimental, with high-frequency screeching bat sounds, distant reverberated flutes, and spatial percussive patterns intermittently mixed in. This, coupled with the roars and death screams of the enemies and the bleak, bloody, and ominous environment, it created a nightmarish level for me. As a kid, this level was terrifying. And even today, it's a bit creepy. I mean, some of the sound design in this game is amazing. We proceed through this first small area to find the house Resai mentioned. Sure enough, the metal is out front, but there is also an undead combat arena that has triggered. Here we get to witness the strength of the Muramasa coupled with the Stone of Power. Our blade easily cuts through their undead flesh. However, we are met with the challenge of multiple enemies at once, and each of them have their own unique abilities that synergize with each other. After killing about a dozen enemies, we are free to proceed. A few more bodies in our wake, and we unlock the Feign Death ability. This ability allows us to do what the name suggests, and fake our death. This draws enemies into a false sense of safety and lures them towards us, allowing us to spring forth and execute them. It does drain health while you're doing it, however. It also doesn't fucking work at all. Proceeding forward, we come across this enemy, a floating head. These things are annoying as fuck. Their hitbox is a bit wonky at times, making hitting them reliably very difficult. We make it to a large open graveyard area, where for the first time in all my playthroughs, I come across something completely new to me. It seems random, but from below the ground, undead hands erupt up and lock you in place, long enough for the nearby archer to plant an arrow in my chest. It's admirable that something like this is put in the game, considering how easy it is to miss it, and how it's only specific to a very small part of the level. I can't help but compare that with today, where modern devs force the player to see every single thing. Oh, they might miss some of the content. After all, that would be wasted dev time. This is just like a nice little touch. We continue onwards, felling the horrors of this accursed land. Eventually, we come across a giant pool of blood. Not sure what kind of cemetery this is, Resai. Why is there just an entire hallway area full of blood? I don't get it. Like, what is this cemetery? What is going on here? Coherence isn't a strong suit of this game, but damn is it fun. The rest of the mission is straightforward, and we make it back to Resai's house. Before this, though, a voice echoes from beyond, that of Tenrise. He has come to extend his hand in peace, and to recruit Rikimaru for his own ends. Of course, Rikimaru is noble and refuses to join. I mean, he didn't even really offer anything to entice Rikimaru. He just invited him to join. Like, you know, you'll get endless power, or, you know, he didn't even offer anything. He's just like, you should join me, Rikimaru. Feels stupid, kind of. Tenrai calls us a fool, and as we approach him, an old familiar person appears, blocking our path. The familiar person throws a flash bomb and escapes. Regaining vision, Rikimaru ponders to himself, has he brought you back to life too? Death is a very normal thing in this world. Does it even matter? There seems to be zero consequences to dying, with quotation marks, in this game. Maybe there's some deeper meaning to all this, like some kind of ninja philosophy or old folklore that death is an illusion or ninjas never truly die or something, but from the surface level, this "you thought I was dead, fool, I'm not dead" it's just something that seems cool. I have no criticism. Zero criticism for this. Who was the mysterious figure in the cemetery? We will find out shortly. And we managed to get a Grandmaster rank, giving us the fire spell, and we move on to the next mission. Mission 7. Find Ayame's imposter. Out of nowhere, we are informed that Ayame has been imprisoned for attacking Lord Goda and that she's been arrested while running into the bamboo forest. The detained Ayame claims there is an imposter and that she was chasing them into the forest when she was captured. She would rather die than be broken out of prison. So it's up to Rikimaru to find this imposter and exact justice. Pretty honorable of our ninja babe girl Ayame. So this mission is an outdoor snow-fallen forest. It features a hot spring that has restorative properties. It's interesting and nice to chill in, but mostly useless. But again, a nice little flavorful feature that's kind of cool. This mission has a giant gap, which I have no idea how to cross. Does anyone know if this is crossable? I'm so curious. This is probably extremely stupid. I'm definitely gonna die. I'm definitely gonna die. Oh, fuck. Jump! How do you cross that room? So the enemies types in this area are werewolves, Shinkigami spirits, and demon ninjas. Werewolves are effectively reskinned dogs. They're not like humanoid werewolves, they're like wolf werewolves. The Shikigami spirits are interesting and are actually directly taken from Japanese folklore. They are a conjured spirit or kami, represented by a ghost. They are conjured by onmyoji, the masters of yin and yang, but basically the Japanese and Chinese versions of mages or wizards. The power of the Shikigami is directly tied to that of their creator. However, there are tales of Shikigami becoming unruly and gaining their own will, going so far as even killing their master. According to lore, they are typically invisible or appear as animals. If they are invisible, they can be bound into masterfully cut and folded paper mannequins. The game uses this appearance, but rather than looking like artisanal craft works of origami, they look as though paper talismans have grown by magical means to be humanoid in shape, which makes sense because upon slaying one of the demons, from a burst of purple smoke, a paper talisman floats lazily down. This mission I found to be overall more difficult than others, with the layouts of enemies and the frequent bottlenecking of potential advances towards them being the main culprits. The level, as with most levels in this game, is mostly linear, with forking paths occasionally. Not much to comment here aside from we make our way through. The ability for this level is the wall kick. This allows you to vault off the wall and come crushing down with a powerful kick attack, useful for surprising the enemy. I actually never really use this, only accidentally. If the enemy has spotted you, they will almost always block this attack, rendering this ability useless in combat. I'm not sure why they made it always blocked. It doesn't make sense. And in stealth applications, the basic aerial attack you start with is as effective, and it requires one less step. So this ability, while being very cool, is pretty much useless. They have so many abilities in this game that are very cool on paper, but effectively useless. It's one of the major critiques I have of this game. We make it to the boss, which is indeed an Ayame lookalike. She slips up and addresses us as a friend, but Rikimaru never gets friend-zoned and hurls a kunai at the obvious hoe. Fighting Ayame here shows the true contrast between the characters. She is faster and more agile than Rikimaru, making it easy for her to evade and slip in tiny attacks between ours, chipping away at her health. However, when Rikimaru manages to land a combo, it tears through her HP. Also, a grenade to the face helps level the playing field. And Ayame will use items in this battle against you, which can be very frustrating. But upon defeating her, we see the true imposter, a masked man carrying a music box, Hyakubake, who, unlike every other character in this game, doesn't divulge copious amounts of classified information willingly and chooses rather to bite his own tongue off.
He bit off his own tongue.
Another candle extinguishes, and Tenrai compliments his job well done.
Well done, Hyakubake.
Okay, that was doing a good job. I guess it continues to suggest we are falling into some kind of trap, but from the player's perspective, Tenrai is now down multiple bosses and troops, failed a kidnap attempt, failed an attack on Goda, and has failed to remove even a single Azuma ninja. Tenrai bros, trust the plan bros, it's not over. We got spotted 15 times. 15 fucking times. My worst run in the game. And it's worth mentioning, I do come back and rectify this shite. This is also a point in favor of the replayability this game has. There is nothing quite as satisfying as repeating a mission after you've studied all their patterns, mastered your abilities, and go steadily, swiftly, making no sound except for the dying whispers of those left in your wake. Anyways, we move on to mission 8. Buddha Temple. Word is from Goda's council that while Ayame was imprisoned and Rikimaru was distracted hunting the imposter, Tenrai's army assaulted and commandeered the Buddhist temple. This temple was designed as a defensive fortress guarding the land of Goda from invaders. Okay, so I guess Tenrai's plan was to sacrifice a few of his generals in order to claim this strategic landmark of a fortress. The game then explains that Goda's hands are tied, as his army can't retaliate because the temple is considered holy ground, and it would signal vulnerability to his neighboring states. Okay, kind of lost me there. Why would he build a temple designed as a defensive fortress to defend his lands and he can't retake it if it's conquered? Seems kind of fucking dumb. Is Goda a retard? What the f? And so it's a sign of weakness to others. Is it not a sign of weakness to have it conquered by a demon army? I'm pretty sure the damage is already done there, bud, politically and strategically speaking. I'm starting to think Rikimaru should join Tenrai. Anyway, we are dispatched in the army's stead to cut the head from the serpent to eliminate the leaders of the army stationed in the temple. Not an honorable army versus army clash. Can't do that because it's holy ground, but we'll send in a ninja to secretly assassinate you. Whatever, the game's fun. That's all that counts. The game is fun. The Buddha temple features a great variety of design, from scenic facades, treacherous cliffs and caves, to small forests, and of course, a towering temple on the top of a promontory. There's a lot of verticality and somewhat Byzantine layout of confusing tunnel networks. The enemies in this level are priests, which makes me wonder if they have been corrupted by Tenrai and his evil army, or if Tenrai has his own priests. It's also in this level across a perilous, sketchy fucking gap that you find the Fugaku, Rikimaru's heavy dai katana. This weapon is even slower than Rikimaru's regular attacks with the Izayoi and Muramasa, but with the trade-off of being a massive increase to damage. And couple this with a Stone of Power, combat becomes a cakewalk at this point. I don't even need my grenades. I know. The ability for this level is Ninja Mind Control. This allows us to temporarily turn allegiance of an enemy. Basically works as the Frenzy spell from Skyrim. I never used this. We also get to see the bear enemy type for the first time, which has an insane health pool, but one swift stealth strike ends the cute little guy. Finally, we reach the inner temple and are confronted with two more generals of Tenrai's forces, a lolly sorceress, Kagura, and Ganda, a balding, steroid-maxing, ambiguously brown guy. She uses scriptures to infuse Ganda, which Rikimaru remarks that she must be responsible for the Shikigami spirits in the forest. Nice little tie back to explain some of the enemy types we've been facing. My childhood memories of dying to this jacked freak makes me panic and run like a little bitch. I would always try and face down Ganda before seeking Kagura, which I realize in my adulthood is absolutely idiotic. With my improved adult brain power, I focused down on Kagura, slicing up the little lolly. The power drains from Ganda and the mysterious figure from before appears, killing Ganda. Before continuing, I'd like to remark how ridiculous it is that this unknown character who is working for Tenrai was ordered to kill Ganda. Why wouldn't you double team Rikimaru? Seems like a lot of wasted resources, but that seems to be a kind of a trope in Japanese media. When like one of the weaker bosses messes up, the stronger boss just kills him because, well, I have no need for you. You are too weak. I can do this myself. Just kind of stupid. Like, just use that advantage of having Ganda fight with you. Okay, why wouldn't you double team Rikimaru? Anyways, this mysterious shinobi is finally revealed. He is none other than Tatsumaru. If you've played the previous game, you know who this guy is. Also thought to be dead. Okay, are you seeing a theme going on here? This guy's also thought to be dead, but yet he's appearing in the game right now. He was revived by the necromantic powers of Tenrai. He is able to sidestep long distances and features quick, hard-hitting strikes. He also carries a blade on his lower back, rarely used in combat. He is somewhat intimidating, but all we need are a couple good hits with our Stone of Power, and we make quick work of him. We are now given an emotional cutscene between the two former colleagues. Yes, Tatsumaru and Rikimaru were former colleagues. Tatsumaru reveals some cryptic, hidden dojutsu power within Rikimaru's right eye. The ninja eye. Master Shunsai hid the power in Rikimaru's pupil, as Rikimaru was not ready for the power at the time. Rikimaru responds that his eye has been mangled by Onikage, but Tatsumaru explains that the eye is still functioning. Rikimaru only has to... Tenrai's hand hovers over the candle, silencing his dialogue and freezing his body. Somehow Tenrai is also able to prevent Rikimaru from moving. His power level wildly fluctuates throughout the game. Like, he can just kill and extinguish people from afar and freeze Rikimaru. Like, what? What the fuck, man? Anyways, it's still cool. Game's still cool. I don't need coherence, I just need cool. He offers once more for Rikimaru to join him, to which Tatsumaru manages to interject, reiterating the power of the dojutsu, the ninja eye. And that is the key to defeating Tenrai. Tenrai sits stone-faced, remarks that That's interesting. And smothers the candle, instantly re-killing Tatsumaru. This has more emotional impact if you've played through the previous installments, but even then, there's not really enough camaraderie throughout the games to really invoke some kind of emotional impact. And in true cheesy fashion, Rikimaru lets out a assumably, because Rikimaru has the hidden power capable of destroying Tenrai, Tenrai remarks that Rikimaru is of no value to him now. He then invites the ninja to his island fortress for one-on-one. What? In this scene, it's pretty clear Tenrai is a fucking idiot. All of his previous failures, and now he has lost nearly all of his generals, one of which was killed by his own hands, or two if you consider that Tatsumaru killed Ganda. And now he invites the one person capable of destroying him into his own fortress. Yeah, okay. Okay, Tenrai. Lord Goda and Tenrai are complete tactical retards, I guess. I'll say it again, what the game lacks in coherence, it makes up for in fun and coolness. The scene ends with Tenrai promising an ominous glowing red fleshy orb thing that it won't be long. This is assumably the conduit of which Tenrai communicates with Lord Mayo. Anyways, another Grandmaster ranking, and we unlock fireworks. Mission 9. 2 days after the Buddhist temple, on a moonlit night, we make our way to Tenrai's fortress. Blackened stone walls, almost looking like a quarry, dilapidated buildings, and the half-exposed remains of shipwrecks mark this level. Enemies on this level are what look like possessed monks, white-haired ninja babes, and demon ninjas. One notable room in this level is this large open cavern with multiple enemies. It takes some forethought to proceed through unnoticed. We unlock our final ability and the namesake of the game, Wrath of Heaven, a devastating attack with the drawback of consuming all but one of our energy or hit points. Making our way upwards, we come across cannons along battlements and make our way through some random trenches, eventually reaching a large gate. Beyond the gate, Onikage awaits. This is where, depending on your choice when repairing the Izayoi in the graveyard mission, you will be treated to different dialogue. As I chose to infuse the demonic blade into Izayoi, Onikage comments that we have fallen into yet another trap by using the Shishito sword to repair the Izayoi. The Izayoi is now corrupted and will drain its power.
It will drain Izayoi's power.
In reality, it does nothing. The villains in this game are incredibly incompetent and still gloat about it as if they are geniuses. Kinda based, I'm gonna be honest. He then divulges that Tatsumaru wasn't under the control of Tenrai. What? Why was he helping Tenrai? Tenrai had a candle that could control him? Okay. I guess that explains why he offed Ganda, but Tenrai didn't even react to that. Why did he attack Rikimaru? Really, I've given up trying to parse the logic of these giga-brained IQ villains. I think the writer was obsessed with poorly thought out, lackluster twists because he always needed the villains to one-up Rikimaru, to have a feeling like you're actually fighting an unwinnable battle. But in reality, we are single-handedly destroying a demonic army despite a litany of genius traps devised by our foes and the ineptitude of our equally untactful lord. Rikimaru is just that good, I guess. Okay, so enough talk. We face Onikage one final time. He boots our face in, causing me to revert to my comfort zone and spam bombs. They explode in my face too. Worth mentioning that the Fugaku has an added benefit of staggering the enemy on the third strike of the combo. Although it does seem that this encounter with Onikage, the game has increased his damage, health, and fighting abilities. It doesn't stop us from destroying him. In his dying, quotation marks, breaths, he calls out to Lord Mayo,
Mayo-sama, it was a true honor to serve you.
then jumps off a cliff and explodes.
Please forgive my failure.
Rule of cool, I'm telling you, rule of cool. If I were Rikimaru, I would probably, check and verify he's actually dead after the sheer amount of times this guy has returned. And with that, we get Grandmaster unlocking the decoy whistle. Mission 10. Now, in the fortress proper, we continue our stealthy assault forward. The environment shares assets from the previous level. One significant change is these tortured beings? I'm not even sure what these are supposed to be. Imprisoned demons? Failed experiments or spells? Either way, it's a bit creepy seeing dismembered limbs chained up under the watch of maniacal monks. And I guess that answers my question earlier if Tenrai has his own monks, and I guess he does, yeah. Straightforward layout with some dangerous death pits, but overall very manageable, especially as we become more acquainted with our ninja abilities.
Are you fucking kidding? Are you fucking kidding? The small hole. The dev, whoever put that hole there.
We do come across this room with kanji scribbled along the walls. Maybe a ceremony chamber? Nothing else much of note. We reach the final chamber where Tenrai awaits us. He appeals to our darkness within. He claims that Rikimaru is actually evil. There's not really much to support this claim. Bit of a stretch, really. I feel like this plot arc is absolutely underbaked, like everything else in Rikimaru's storyline. I see what they were going for, the hero confronting their own personal darkness, their own personal evil, and triumphing in a glorious rebuke against it. But there wasn't any build-up. Were the missions written in isolation of each other? Kinda gets that vibe, like they had just like a cool idea for each mission.
That power you possess has a name, and its name is evil.
Silence!
Tenrai, being a powerful sorcerer, has a few spells at his disposal. He can send a volley of spikes that erupt upwards from the ground, he has a teleport ability, and he has an AoE. He's kind of a complete pushover. Is that it?
After all that, how can you still be alive?
You are very ignorant. Very well. If you won't join me, then
You have chosen death.
Ayo! Give me your power! All the people whom I have killed.
He begins channeling the power of Mayo and the souls of all those he has killed. I'm not sure why he didn't do this first off. His appearance changes to that of oriental dragon, serpent, lizard, humanoid thing. I wonder if this is another onmyoji ability in folklore to shapeshift into something like this. He now boasts an increased health pool and faster, more deadly melee attacks with his clawed hands. In this battle, he grabs us and it cuts to a cutscene, making me wonder if this is a forced loss situation. Rikimaru falls to the ground, slipping into blindness.
Is that it? Are you finished?
No! Can't see. I can't see.
The voice of Tatsumatu resonates within us, reminding us to focus on her eye.
can see with it. Concentrate. Focus your energy.
In a dramatic surge, we aptly dodge the blast of Tenrai and reveal the true hidden power bestowed upon us by Master Shunsai, the ninja eye. I'm just realizing now as I'm recording this that maybe Onikage knew about this power in Rikimaru's eye as to why he did that attack on his eye. So maybe there is a bit more of like a actually good writing going on here, but they don't indicate it enough to suggest that that's what they were thinking. But so we managed to push Tenrai into a corner and spam our basic combo. The battle ends somewhat anticlimactically.
Okay, well that was anticlimactic, wasn't it?
Just as we are to go for the killing blow,
Everything I've got.
Tenrai blasts the Izayoi from our hands. I was using the Fugaku, but okay. Wishing to steal the sword's power for himself. Well, the joke's on you, bud. There's Chichishito in it, and the power's draining from it now. But since he's a demon, does that mean it would be increased power? I don't know. Okay, back to the story. Ayame appears suddenly, managing to return the sword to Rikimaru's hands. Oh, great. This game is fucking woke. Of course the girl comes and saves the day. Of course.
The sword is too strong for you.
Based much, Tenrai-san? Never mind, this game isn't woke at all.
Give me the sword.
And thus we enter the third stage of the boss battle. For the record, we aren't actually using Izayoi. With 2 strikes from Fugaku, we absolutely wreck Tenrai. So I guess the idea was that Izayoi is extremely powered up. It's kind of similar to the Legend of Zelda when you hit Ganon for the last strike with the Master Sword and it's just over. That's kind of what they were going for with this, I think. I'm surprised they didn't take the time to check if I'm using the Izayoi or not. If they would have done that, that would have been a really nice detail, but meh. There's a lot of things that feel rushed about this game. Lord Goda and his manlet lackey appear, and Tenrai's form deletes itself as if a scanner light passes over him, revealing Rikimaru behind him. A short conversation between the group.
It's over. Ayame. Not even Tenrai's vicious sorcery could defeat our mighty ninja. We are lucky those 2 are on our side. Very lucky indeed.
And Rikimaru's story is just over? The credits roll. Okay. No denouement, not much ceremony. Pretty abrupt, I guess. After the credits, we are gifted with one last scene. I'll give you a chance to guess what it is. Yeah, it's Onikage is still alive. Yeah, he's still alive. Oh, could you imagine that? He speaks to a green flame, saying the time has come.
The time has come.
I'm literally shitting and farting and coming. That's so epic. And so that was Rikimaru's story. As I said before, it feels as though the missions were written in isolation of each other, or rather the levels were designed outside of a story, then retroactively made to fit within a story in a rather loose and arbitrary fashion. But the beauty of Tenchu is that it doesn't need any story really. The fun of it is in the gameplay itself. And the most important thing about a video game is the gameplay. Now, would I have liked a bit more effort in the story? Absolutely. But as it stands, the cheesy, incongruent, overdramatic, overplayed story actually gives the game a charm, much like that of a cheesy B-movie. It's a simple tale of fighting evil, and that prompt is all that is really needed to enjoy the ninja experience. I also can't help but feel as though Rikimaru received the short end of the development time focus. In comparison to Ayame's story, his lacks some serious polish. It makes me wonder if he isn't the main character of the series, or if this marked the beginning of the company straying away from him being the primary character. Either way, I loved it. Rikimaru will always be my favorite fictional childhood ninja. Next, let's explore the very different plot line of Ayame. Ayame is the youngest disciple of the former leader of the Azuma clan, Azuma Shinsai. She is the fiery and witty kunoichi of the game. She surpasses Rikimaru in speed, but suffers from weakened attacks. Her weapons of choice are dual kodachi, which she wields in a dazzling flurry of spinning, quick-paced slashes and stabs, incorporating acrobatic and martial prowess seamlessly into this storm of death. Ayame keeps a cold exterior and a calculating demeanor throughout the series, which occasionally cracks, revealing her introspective and tender self beneath. She's basically a tsundere. This is most displayed with her relationship with Tatsumaru, a reoccurring character throughout the series. They have developed a profound bond in the previous installment, and this relationship serves as a minor source of conflict in this game as well. Overall, Ayame's missions feature more unique mechanics or objectives, and also seem to have more voice acting and longer, more frequent cutscenes. Production value outshines Rikimaru by a considerable amount for whatever reason. I wonder if her story was developed after Rikimaru's, or if a different group of people worked on it. I'm not sure and can't find much details in general on the development in English or in Japanese. Let's start with Mission 1. Her story begins with the plight of a terrorized village. Daughters have been disappearing in the midst of night, with witnesses saying they've been taken into the bamboo forest. Because of the forest's proximity to a temple, it's considered holy ground, meaning Lord Goda's only means of sorting this issue is through subterfuge and stealth. Ayame is sent to reap justice. Because we've already explored most gameplay elements, I will gloss over the play-by-play narration for Ayame's story. This time, the enemies are simple samurai, not the Shikigami spirits or ninja demons Rikimaru faced. We pass through the snowy forest, slaying those in our way, unlocking our first ability, the somersault kick. While this doesn't rocket the enemy as far away as Rikimaru's shoulder thrust, it does operate in the same strategic fashion of knocking the enemy aerial, then prone, giving us time to either heal up or go in for a free prone hit or get some distance between us and our opponent. So it's only this ability that's different from Rikimaru. All the other abilities are the same. That's kind of a bit of an upset. I feel like they could have done more in developing the difference between the characters aside from their moveset, just giving them different flavor of techniques and stuff. I'm not sure what those would be. I guess they're both Azuma Ninja, so it doesn't make sense they would have different techniques. So maybe there's reason to it, but I mean, you could say one is like more specialized in something, right? We enter the temple grounds to activate the next cutscene. We overhear a horrible scene playing out.
What could be happening to me?
Oh, that's a nice pair you have.
Wait! No! I'm not ready!
I'm ready. Why don't I show you?
Let the girl go?
What? How dare you disturb my game of cards?
The game is self-aware at times, which helps make the cheesy, non-congruent story arc of Rikimaru not really a big deal. Yes, the same bosses are used across playthroughs. The game really does just reinterpret and reimagine the characters, settings, and mission objectives. Anyway, we easily stomp Tajima. Following up on Tajima's mention of Echigoya, we are now tasked with executing Tokubei, the evil merchant. While this is the same prompt as Rikimaru's, there are slight variations, one primarily being we've already killed Tajima. And when we come to the final room, we are introduced to the primary plot of Ayame's storyline. Tokubei presents a magnificent stone to Nasu, the jewel of the earth. According to legend, there are two more like it, hidden within the realm. When all three are acquired, unbelievable power is given to the bearer. Here we have been introduced to the main plot of Ayame's mission. These three jewels soon become the driving focus of the story. There is also an interesting real-world parallel that I will discuss a bit later. Ayame barges in and lays out some girl boss lines and proceeds to effortlessly kill the guards. In this cutscene, perhaps you can see what I mean by Ayame received more production time compared to that of Rikimaru. We fight and kill Nasu with little to no issue, aside from me not knowing his feint attack was unblockable at that point, so he sends us flying. In the midst of battle, the worm Tokubei managed to slip away.
This can't be.
Echigoya! Where have you gone?
So we backtrack through the level to find him and finish the job. We are moments too late as something unseen brutally kills the pleading Echigoya.
Wait! Don't! We had a deal! No! Please! Stop!
The stone has also been taken. The scene cuts to a familiar blue flame and a familiar voice rejoicing as the stone is now in its possession, and that soon Lord Goda's Jewel of Virtue will soon be theirs as well. The camera then pans, revealing several more blue flames. Not sure why this time they aren't candles, but rather just blue flames suspended in space.
The stories are very similar in certain ways, sharing a lot of aesthetics and artistic choices.
Moving on to mission 3. We debrief with Lord Goda, and in a rather suspicious fashion, he asks us to forget the entire incident and conversation. A few uneventful months later, and Lord Goda is taken hostage by Hamada, demanding the Jewel of Virtue in exchange. To make matters worse, and much like Rikimaru Story, a mysterious band of ninjas have sieged the castle. It's clear we must rescue our lord and dispatch the traitor post-haste. We go through the halls and rooms of our lord's castle, killing these amateur bitch-ass ninjas with no problem. Except for this one. He is one of the few examples I have of random basic mob enemies becoming OP gods randomly. With a slip up of my maneuvering, he spots us. We engage in heated combat. He is a very competent opponent, blocking most of our attacks, repositioning effectively, timing his strikes between our assaults perfectly.
Oh, he got me with that. He's worth me over. Missed. I missed. I'm gonna die, aren't I? Good thing I have a ninja rebirth. Getting my ass worked over by a basic ninja. Oh, he jumped over me. The camera! The camera! The camera! He got me! He got me!
I do manage to kill him, but my ego is severely wounded.
Holy shit, that guy was tough.
Just randomly, the hardest boss in the game. Okay, moving on. We make our way to Goda's chambers and are thrust into a hostage situation. Goda's weird rat man counselor insists we abide by the demands of Hamada. Ayame feigns compliance, then hurls a kunai into Hamada's arm, allowing Goda a moment to escape. Hamada then goes Sigma Joker mode, saying,
Insanity, treason, whatever. I choose not to live by your rules.
he dies in under 10 seconds. Not even sure what his moveset is like, he dies so fast. And with that, that wraps up Mission 3. We hear a voice coming from Hamada's corpse, that of Tenrai.
The Jewel of Heaven will be in my hands shortly.
After listening to Hamada's corpse, Goda is taken aback that Tenrai is aware of the 3 sacred jewels. He finally reveals that long ago, his family used the power of the jewels to control the realm. The Jewel of Virtue remains in Goda's possession, while the other 2 were thieved away. Remember how I said there was a real-life parallel to these jewels? I believe it is a direct reference to the 3 jewels of Buddhism, or as the Japanese call them, Hoju, which is basically treasure jewels. The jewels represent the Buddha, the Dharma, aka the Buddhist law, and Sangha, Buddhist society. And I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation on those. The Hoju's importance lies in what it is supposed to do. It is said to be able to impart full understanding of Buddhist law, the Dharma, quell desires, bestow blessings on those who are suffering, and grants wishes. Most importantly, the wish-granting jewel has been a metaphor of Buddha's core virtues: non-attachment, benevolence, and understanding. That's a quote. Been so long since I wrote this, I don't remember where from. The Hoju pop up all throughout Japanese history, depicted in a great birth of their art. It's interesting to see how the devs took inspiration from Buddhism and implemented it into the game. It also could be seen as lazy storytelling. They just take a real life thing and just give it a little twist and boom, you're done. Your story's written for you. But I feel like it's fitting given the setting and the time period of the game. And I'm also realizing these sacred jewels might be the inspiration for the Dragon Balls. Anyways, after Tenrai's necromantic display of spiritual power, Goda realizes he is dealing with a master wizard. If Tenrai were to collect the sacred jewels, his power would be unstoppable. Now it is clear that Goda must find the Jewel of Heaven before Tenrai. In addition to this, Goda must find and use any weapons or means that will help turn the tide in his spiritual battle. Within his family diaries, there is a mention of the Yoto swords. They were so powerful that they were sealed using 5 sealing stones within a cemetery to prevent the swords from taking the lives of their wielders. We now go to reclaim these legendary swords to turn the tide against Tenrai's army. As we have yet to acquire the Yoto swords, we are in an interesting predicament where we can't kill the undead enemies in the cemetery. This means we must use stealth to pass by and not provoke combat. An interesting twist to the earlier Rikimaru mission where we had to sneak past Goda's guards. In addition to this, there are also 5 sealing stones throughout the map we must destroy in order to proceed. These small twists give the level a fresh feel. All this considered, we are able to destroy the 5 stones and pass through the accursed land completely unnoticed. We reclaim the blade, and I'm actually somewhat shocked at what comes next. A towering, armored, giant curved blade wielding Heian period samurai stands before us, clutching at his side what can only be his own head. While being extremely physically imposing, he's actually a bitch and goes down easily. But who was this giant samurai? A Goda family guardian of the Yoto swords? One of Tenrai's demonic entities attracted to the blades? I don't know. Next mission. In the 2 months after finding the swords, Lord Goda's men searched the land for the Jewel of Heaven to no avail. However, according to a rumor, an old sage named Zenosuke, who lives in the Ronin village, knows of the whereabouts of the jewel. Upon arriving at the village, it is clear Tenrai's men have heard the rumor as well. The village is overrun with his henchmen. Ayame must beat them to Zenosuke. I'd like to point out that aside from more effort being put into cutscenes, voice acting, and the overall quality of the story, the enemies move in more advanced patrols. In this mission, ninjas stalk the roofs of the Ronin houses and are able to leap across gaps and patrol multiple rooftops and angles. With this setup, the game removes our typical strategy of grappling to the roof and attacking from above. Now we are faced with enemies that use our own tactics against us. It actually proves to be a considerable increase in difficulty as enemies are able to spot bodies with much more ease from the rooftops. Either way, our own skills have grown considerably through our playthrough, so we are able to meet the challenge and pass through the village to Zenosuke. But upon opening the door, we see he's already dead. From the shadows, a needle narrowly misses us, and we are allowed our first encounter with the game's third protagonist, Tesshu Fujioka. Ayame assumes he is the murderer of Zenosuke, and the two engage in a short bout of combat. Very short.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Wait!
Don't tell me you're going to beg for mercy.
Tesshu recognizes our Azuma ninja fighting style, and following his boss's advice to never cross swords with an Azuma ninja, he becomes neutral to us. We inquire about the jewel, to which he responds unconvincingly that he has no knowledge of it. As he walks away, Ayame remarks to herself of a private organization that sells justice to the villagers. The game then gives us a brief moment of control back before thrusting another cutscene upon us. Rikimaru's voice beckons to us. He slowly approaches, assuring us he is not a ghost and that everything is cool and that he's totally not an imposter. Ayame tests this Rikimaru by slashing at him. I guess that's just what ninjas do. I don't know if you're real, so I'm just gonna try and stab you. That's some schizo-ass shit right there. Rikimaru recoils and reiterates that he is the real Rikimaru. We will verify this in lethal combat. Rikimaru hits us with an explosive arrow, but also ignites himself, doing this silly, unbecoming dance. We then punish him for this foolish jump, ending the verification process. Result? Imposter confirmed. Phew. Oh, that's good, because if Ayame was mistaken, then we would have just killed our own clan leader and one of the most invaluable ninjas at Lord Gota's disposal. Suddenly, a needle that's probably been dipped in some kind of date rape concoction pierces our neck, and the fucking weirdo freak Dr. Kimaida appears with a posse of ninjas. The camera pans to show Tesshu, who ends the mission with a scoff. Awakening in a cell with weird dried white crust all over our body and a throbbing headache, we see that Tesshu has followed Kimaida to his lair, and by killing the guard has given us an opportunity to flee on our own accord. Before disappearing, Tesshu adds that Zenosuke mentioned a secret jewel in the eye of the statue in the Buddha temple. Turns out Kimaida overheard that conversation about the whereabouts of the jewel. He also further reinforces his creepy rapey vibe by saying,
You will address me as Dr. Kimaida. And I'd like to play with you a little longer. Maihime!
I'm thinking it's time to put down this androgynous, dysgenic, doll-fetished freak. At this point in the game, I've opted to fight boss battles without spamming grenades. The combat is becoming surprisingly fun. Also, I've fixed the emulation, and his spin attack no longer distorts the fabric of reality. Anyway, we handily put the weirdo at his doll in a pool of his own blood, but in his death throes, he sets off a timer that will release poisonous fumes throughout the castle. We must beat the timer and escape. This mission has us proceed through the castle in reverse compared to Rikimaru and race against the timer. The timer is quite generous, giving us 20 minutes to navigate our way out. As I've already become familiar with the traps in this place, the mission proves to be a breeze. Just kidding. The goddamn floor traps. I managed to unknowingly miss these particular floor traps with Rikimaru, and maybe that's due to the direction of how you proceed through the levels, which is kind of interesting. So we kill the freak rapist again and make our way through the castle successfully. Just kidding. A creepy robot doll moonwalks into the room and proceeds to jettison a grenade from its mouth and then violently stab us multiple times before going completely goblin sicko mode and unleashing a kamikaze whirlwind death attack, pushing us into a steampunk death pit where he stoically watches our corpse get ground up by gears. This game never fails to surprise you. So we kill the freak rapist again and make our way through the castle successfully.
You don't get any stealth kill in this spot. And you fall. Okay, I'll take it. That was lucky.
For real this time, except the mission isn't over yet. Onikage appears before us, and Rikimaru appears at our side. Ayame teases,
You better be the real Rikimaru this time.
What are you talking about?
Huh. Nothing. Forget I said it. Anyway, I found out where the Jewel of Heaven is. It's in the eye of the Buddha in the temple.
I'd like to remind you that Onikage is just silently, patiently waiting out of frame as these two spill confidential and vital information as to the location of the jewel. Either they are extremely confident they will easily curb stomp Onikage, so whatever he hears doesn't matter, or they are actually retarded. I'll let you decide. We are given a choice between fighting Onikage ourselves or letting Rikimaru deal with it. I chose to fight Onikage, figuring letting Rikimaru fight would have some kind of bad consequence, and yeah, turns out there's zero consequence to whatever choice you make. Either way, we are a strong, independent woman and girl boss energy, so we totally mog Onikage. As is tradition, the dude isn't dead. Shocker. Yeah. Unbelievable, right?
What the hell?
Next mission. We now go to the Buddha temple to retrieve the Jewel of Heaven. One of Tenrai's Lords of Darkness, Ganda, stands in our path. Expecting a boss battle, I throw on our ninja armor and bring a ton of grenades. The fight against Ganda is actually somewhat challenging. He has long-reaching attacks with his staff, and if you manage to get in close, he has a devastating, unblockable, undodgeable grab attack that can even interrupt your attacks. He hurls you into the air multiple times, each time letting you crash down, and your bones snap a little more. Even with our Stone of Power, our attacks don't deal much damage at all, and I resort to spamming grenades. We follow through the level, not much different here when compared to Rikimaru, aside from the enemy placement.
Yep.
I make an amateur mistake and get spotted, and the monk 2-taps me into oblivion. We get to the same place and get spotted again. Now the bear and monk gank us. We make a break for it, but the bear, just as in real life, is incredibly fast.
Now we're trapped with the bear. Yeah, of course it has a grapple attack. I can't see what's happening. Okay, we have to jump. The bear probably can't jump, right?
We do manage to lose it eventually. After some tricky platforming, we find Ayame's unique secondary swords, poison blades, or the dokuto. More of the usual killing, and we make it to the main chamber, reaching the eye of the statue. Tatsumaru has beaten us to it. He is working for Tenrai.
Huh? Tatsumaru? Is it you? So, Tenrai has turned you as well. Hold! I'm sorry, Tatsumaru, but I cannot permit you to give that to Tenrai.
I see. Don't press your luck. You're still no match for me, little one. I don't want to kill you, but I will have to if we meet again. Farewell.
Looks like no one's guarding the gates of hell these days.
For whatever reason, Ayame doesn't attempt to fight him. I guess he is far beyond our skill. And by the way, we get thug rank. Pretty bad mission, but very fun mission. Mission 8. With 2 of the stones in the possession of Tenrai, a direct assault would be a lost cause. Goto resorts to devising a surprise attack. He sends his men to find the location of Tenrai's fortress. In this search, he loses half of his army, and his advisor, Sekiya, is taken hostage. I mean, Goto can't stop winning. They do manage to discover that Tenrai's fortress is on an island and that it is positioned in such a way that they would be able to easily spot any approaching boat. However, the island can also be accessed through a tunnel system in the limestone caverns. Before heading out to rescue Sekiya, Princess Kiku gives us her sister's bells for good luck. I feel like bells aren't really a good thing for a ninja to bring along, but okay. Ayame's cave level starts us midway through. I thought this might imply that a special treasure could be attained if one were to go out of their way and backtrack. All I got was a sticky bomb. Anyway, we make it to Sekiya, and he informs us we will need explosives to blow ourselves a path to Tenrai's fortress. We are then confronted with a Shikigami spirit, which would seem to suggest Kagura is here. We find the explosives nearby and make our way through the final leg of the mission and plant the explosives, blowing open the way to Tenrai's fortress. Unfortunately, Sekiya gets impaled by a stray Shikigami. No, not Sekiya, my favorite character that we developed such a strong and visceral connection with. He's so good. I know so much about him, and he's obviously one of the best characters in the game. Kagura laughs and does some personal reflection on the matter of death.
Death is only a part of life, not an end, but a new checkpoint. A checkpoint at which we say goodbye to our friends here on Earth and say hello to hell.
She then conjures a giant wolf spirit. I guess Ayame was close to Sekiya. She's quite upset and promises to kill her.
Now face the consequences.
This fight turned out to be a cakewalk due to our poisoned blades. The poison damage is like negligible at best, but the main power is the staggering effect it has. Stun lock, very OP, cool boss design though.
This blood? My blood? No! It can't be. Now you've got eternity to apologize for what you've done.
We return to Lord Goda with our report, and Goda arranges a strategy meeting, the outcome of which is to send us in to kill Tenrai. At least this time, in Ayame's playthrough, Goda is a bit more competent, or at the very least his decisions make sense. The 9th mission is basically filler. It's still a lot of fun, a testament to the simple but effective gameplay, but we'll skip right to the cutscene. Tatsumaru saunters around a corner, and we face each other for a reluctant showdown.
This is not good.
I knew you would come. And now that you have, I have no choice. I must kill you.
Tatsumaru. I am on a mission, and you will not stand in my way.
We patiently wait for him to leave himself open and sneak in a poisoned blade. Now we've won.
He's poisoned. It's over for him. It's over. Camera, please, camera.
You have learned much, Ayame.
Tatsumaru.
Onikage appears and prepares to take over from here, but surprisingly, Tatsumaru has a random change of heart and decides to stab Onikage in the back.
But you are on my side.
Tatsumaru.
Let go of me.
We don't belong in this world. I'm taking you back to hell with me. Farewell, Ayame.
He then grabs hold of Onikage and jumps off the cliff into an explosion. Oh my god, Kino!
Idiot.
Also, I wonder if Ayame has feelings for Tatsumaru, if the devs were trying to suggest that with her dialogue here, and that ends the mission. The final mission has no introduction, as none is needed. We are here to bring the Wrath of Heaven to Tenrai. The mission plays like Rikimaru's, so let's skip to the end. We confront Tenrai in the final chamber.
Place.
Welcome to my fortress.
So just what kind of demented scheme have you been dreaming up in this rat hole?
Tenrai kindly explains his master plan to us. He intends to use the power of the 3 stones to resurrect Mayo and use him as his slave. With their combined power, he will rule the lands.
Brilliant, don't you think?
That's about as stupid as it gets.
And now I'm realizing this is pretty similar to Rikimaru Story on the drive of the antagonist, but whatever. We managed to poison him once, which means it's effectively over for Tenrai bros.
Enough! You are a brave opponent. I will give you that. But are you brave enough for what's coming? Even with only 2 jewels, along with my powers, I will crush you to pieces.
Tenrai then uses the 2 jewels in his possession to imbue himself, turning him into, well, whatever this thing is. I don't know, is this some kind of Buddhist symbology or something? What is this? He has wooden arms? Anyway, with his power now intensified, Ayame is immobilized. Remarkably, the bells given to us by Princess Kiku begin to resonate, causing Tenrai to recoil and shudder. He exclaims in pain that his power is fading. Regaining our bodily autonomy,
I can move again. This may be my only chance.
Impudent wench.
based, Tenrai, based! We go in for the kill. Interestingly enough, this version is immune to poison. That's why I brought a bunch of bombs, but I figured dying from a grenade is too good for him and decided to kill him with the weakest weapon of the game, the shuriken. What a bitch.
I cannot die! Not like this!
I guess that's payback for all the souls you destroyed. Time to get out of this dump.
Based, Onikage, based! But big fucking surprise, Onikage appears once again, only to get eviscerated by Rikimaru. We are then treated with a scene between Ayame and Rikimaru.
You'd better stay dead this time, Onikage.
Rikimaru.
In which he explains the bells have the power to negate the power of the jewels. For whatever reason, Lord Goda kept this a secret. I think the game is trying to suggest he has an all-knowing wisdom, but in my eyes it just shows more incompetence on his behalf. I understand though that for the player's experience, it would remove the mystery of the bells if Goda were to have told us their purpose, but I mean not that there was much mystery or intrigue to begin with, but I digress.
Let's go home.
Being a strong, independent woman, we ignore Rikimaru's help up. Rikimaru just can't get a fucking break. The two run off, and so ends Ayame's story. Ayame's storyline effectively reimagines that of Rikimaru's, all while being far less cheesy and incongruent. I find it interesting that the devs took Ayame more seriously, giving her more cutscenes with more characters and dialogue. The missions had more interesting and unique objectives, and the antagonists were more competent and better thought through for their actions and motives. It feels like this is the canon story of the game. But yeah, that ends Ayame's story mode. Now we move on to the adventure of Dr. Fujioka. When the law fails to serve justice, one can buy justice. Tesshu Fujioka works as a doctor by trade, but at night he assumes the role of an assassin for hire, working for an organization called Muzen. The members are considered masters of stealth and assassination. However, they are not recognized as true shinobi. Tesshu, not being a ninja, does not have the 9 sutra kanji symbols, meaning he does not unlock ninja abilities. Rather, he has some abilities already unlocked. The missing abilities are Ninja Sight, Wrath of Heaven, and Ninja Mind Control, which kind of makes sense. He's just a normal dude. He's not a magical ninjutsu wielder. He does have a unique fighting style, choosing to wield only his fists. These hands deal some serious damage, and he has a chargeable Falcon Punch that sends enemies flying. This is such a cool move, and really satisfying when you actually let it hit someone. Tesshu also feels quite fast compared to Rikimaru. I haven't tested this, but it sure does feel that way. Tesshu, being a doctor, features stealth kills that work on surgical precision, or a severely malpracticing chiropractor, twisting bones around, displacing vertebrae, removing hearts with his bare hands, which is very classic, and placing thin, distinct needles into the brain. These are his main methods of instantly killing his foes. Further playing into the doctor theme, the stealth animations feature unique Mortal Kombat style X-ray vision of the brutal actions. His first mission follows the same plot point as the other two characters, with Nasu and Echigoya involved in a human trafficking scheme. Just as an aside, since we've brought up this character 3 times now, Echigoya is actually based on a famous old story in Japan. I watched a play on this the other day. He says something like, Unushi mo waru no? I can't remember. He has a very famous kotowaza that they still use today. It's kind of interesting to see him represented in this fictional game. Because of Nasu's position of statesman, officials would not dare to prosecute him. The affected villagers choose to employ the Muzen to deal justice where the officials will not. In the item selection screen, we are introduced to a unique mechanic of Tesshu's playthrough. Items cost money. We no longer have our pay piggy, Lord Goda, to sponsor our instruments of death and espionage. We make money by looting the corpses of our fallen foes, chests throughout levels, and by performance in the mission. The higher our rank at the end of the level, the more money we are rewarded. We clear our way towards the corrupt merchant and kill Echigoya.
Hey, Echigoya. Give my regards to your old man.
Another Muzen agent, who we are later told is named Senkichi, appears to inform us where Nasu is hiding.
The main house. Got it. Tell the boss I'll be done within the hour.
Alas, we find that we are too late. We overhear Rikimaru in the midst of dealing his own justice.
Then you sell the girls into slavery and grow rich from your disgusting trade.
How did you get here?
What the?
Tesshu, confused, asks who this is. Here we are introduced to the leader of our organization, Zenosuke Oto.
Zenosuke Otou. His mild-mannered appearance conceals his true identity. Leader of the underground organization Muzen that employs Tesshu.
Tesshu is pissed, saying they won't be able to collect for the contract now. I'm not sure why they wouldn't be. No one aside from these two and Rikimaru know who actually killed Nasu. Perhaps there's some unspoken honor within the world of assassinations? I don't know. In addition to this, throughout the game, we do have a minor plot point of Tesshu wanting to prove himself as an equal to the legendary shinobi. This is actually Tesshu's motivation for the next mission. A little neat tie-in to Ayame's storyline, we get to hear directly Zenosuke's advice to not cross swords with the Azuma.
Don't ever cross swords with the Azuma.
Isn't that neat? Nice little tie-in. We land ourselves a well-deserved Master of Assassins rank and collect our pay. We also unlock Super Needles. Mission 2. Pride-wounded Tesshu rolls and writhes in his sleep, unable to ignore that his kill was stolen by Rikimaru. Against his master's advice, he sneaks into Gota's castle, wishing to challenge the Azuma ninja and prove himself as a better assassin. That's some serious commitment. As our allegiance is to no one but Muzen, we are free to murder Gota's guards. Finally! Fuck, I've been waiting for this. And plenty of murdering do we do. Everything's going smoothly. And then we have a perfect example of when the archaicness of the game fucks you over.
What the What the What the
God damn it. The grappling hook becomes one of the most scary tools of the game. One of my biggest gripes with this goddamn game is just this bug. I don't even know if it's a bug. You're gonna say it's a skill issue, but f you. With Tesshu's pride still wounded, and now my own, we jump back in. Finally, we kill our way to Gota's chambers and come upon that bastard Rikimaru.
You shall not pass beyond this room.
Suit me fine. I came here looking for you, ninja.
He absolutely destroys us, seriously.
What? Whoa.
When we withdraw to heal, Rikimaru shoots explosive arrows at us. Twice. He's completely decked out.
Oh, I got lucky. But, his item. It's over. No, it's not over. But he's gonna throw it. Oh, that was lucky. Alright, bomb. We gotta throw a bomb.
He also stuns us with a smoke grenade, then throws a super shuriken, killing us.
He has so many items, dude. Oh.
I severely underestimated him. So, I think you know what time it is.
Where are you?
He's defeated instantly. Rikimaru's blade stops just before the killing blow.
Why did you stop?
To light a candle is to cast a shadow. You stopped first.
Rikimaru then lets him go. Gota's guards really are expendable, I guess. You get to kill like 10 or 12 of them and, well, you can go. We had a cool ninja showdown, so that's totally fine, bro. Tesshu empties the entire castle of men, and Rikimaru has nothing but respect for the guy. That's based. Now that we've proved ourselves to be at least an equal to the Azuma ninja, we continue onwards. Mission 3. 6 months pass since the events at the castle. We are given a new assignment: to kill Ganda, the mongoloid juicing guy, if you remember. And as an aside, it appears the plight of Tenrai doesn't exist in Tesshu's timeline. So this storyline is just kind of a more, I don't know how to say it, like Japanese crime syndicate vibe, Bruce Lee, big boss kind of vibe to it. You know, it's been a while since I saw that movie, so I might be totally wrong with that illusion, but yeah. Ganda is the head of a new religious cult, also accomplice to the human trafficking scheme. His religious profession somehow gave him legal immunity. Where the law fails, we step in. The mission begins directly in combat with Ganda. We spam grenades. I have one left, but I decide I'm at least capable of dealing a mere 28 damage to him. Let's see how that plays out for me. He nearly kills me, but I do manage to sneak my fist in and end his life. We are treated with a splash screen, telling us we must now rendezvous with Senkichi by the waterfalls. Reaching the rendezvous location, we are ambushed by a group of Ronin. We recognize one of them as Jinnai, an excommunicated member of Muzen. We are then knocked unconscious, and I manage to land a pretty perfect score. And we unlock the magazine. I'm getting decently good at the game at this point. We awaken to find ourselves in a prison cell. All of our tools have been confiscated. My Coom brain activated briefly for this scene. The height of Tesshu and the position Jinnai stands in, coupled with the demand to take a job. Yeah, sorry, I'm sure there's some fanfic on this scene, but Jesus, I need to purify myself. Anyways, Jinnai proposes a job to terminate Zenosuke. Of course, Tesshu refuses to kill his own master.
What do you say? You know I can't do that.
Jinnai leaves, telling us to rot for eternity then. However, Tesshu is a master of assassins and managed to smuggle a needle to pick the lock. Also, Tesshu has crazy sanpaku eyes. Although I'm gonna be real, a lot of the character design in this game is still way better than the bulk of modern Western AAA face designs. And you know what I'm talking about. We escape our cell and begin the mission. This guard in particular screwed me big time. I couldn't tell that he was actually sleeping while standing, so I freaked out for the first while. I then pushed the limit a little bit.
Oh, his eyes are closed. Alright. Okay. So if I stand in front of him, he can't see me. Alright, well, let's take his heart. What? He woke up! He woke up!
Suddenly he comes to life. It's kind of weird, this mechanic is just only here in this moment that this guard is sleeping standing up. I don't get it. Anyways, we kill him and we move on. A side objective is to collect our belongings, which have been scattered in different locations throughout the caves. Not much else to point out here, except for this one random pot that just would not break. I don't know why, but yeah, there's definitely a present inside this little nook, and well, I guess I'll never know what it is. That's too bad. We successfully escape and continue forward, and with a new enemy in our sights, Jinnai, we must stop him before he kills our master. Mission 5. First things first, we gotta get paid. Even though we've been getting paid every mission, somehow we gotta get more paid. We are to meet Senkichi at a house in the graveyard. No undead in this graveyard mission. So this adds into like the realism aspect of Tesshu. It's more of just a real, like super realistic interpretation of Sengoku Jidai. And nope, there's demon ninjas. Okay. Yeah. We proceed through the hollowed level, but moments before we arrive at the drop-off point, Senkichi is brutally cut down by Jinnai. We also glimpse that there are 2 Jinnai? Is this a ninja technique? We make it to the house and the level ends. Not much ceremony or story development here. No cutscene of Tesshu discovering the body or anything, so no emotional attachment at all. We still get paid though, so there's that. What are the devs trying to say? It's all about the money? Mission 6, the final mission of Tesshu. Tesshu deduces that Senkichi's murderer could only be Jinnai. These names are hard to say, I'm gonna be honest. Tesshu, Senkichi, Jinnai. So, Tesshu deduces that Senkichi's murderer could only be Jinnai, as the only member of Muzen who would know the secret payment location. We move with haste to meet with Zenosuke, but the town is already infested with Jinnai's men. Dishing out pro bono, unwanted medical services, we make it to Zenosuke's house. As is this game's tradition of always being just a moment too late. Wait. No, we are actually on time. Okay. Zenosuke sits calmly, offering a final job to kill Jinnai. Jinnai's men are trying to destroy the city for whatever reason, and Zenosuke stands in the way. Why are they trying to destroy the city? Okay. That's just happening, I guess. I guess they don't like the city. Tesshu asks if he has been hurt. Zenosuke assures us that's not the case. He really does seem like he's been hurt though. Like, dude, are you actually okay? It's pretty obvious you've been attacked already. Then he suspiciously says this is the last mission. Seems like a random time to retire. You sure you're not gonna die as soon as we close this door? Okay. We say our farewell and close the door. And his body slumps over to reveal a dagger in his back. A big surprise. It's time we fulfill the last wishes of our boss and kill Jinnai. He stands waiting in front of an unassuming house. I wonder if I can stealth kill him and don a disguise. Upon our approach, we trigger the cutscene. Here I find that our disguise carries into cutscenes. Kinda makes this scene have more ninja intrigue than normal. Tesshu knows that someone of Jinnai's abilities would be able to perceive through his disguise, so he casually approaches, unfazed. Then off camera, he reverts back to his normal form. The timing was great. It was absolutely great. Nice cinematic effect. But I'm a bit pissed off I couldn't stealth kill him. Anyways, Jinnai features the iconic wandering Ronin fighting style. Each attack he draws his sword and then resheaths it. I grenade the both of us. We then drive a needle into him, extinguishing his life. We shout out for Sakyo to show himself, hurling our needle into a nearby moth. I'm not sure the symbolism here. Anyways, it turns out Jinnai is a family name, and Sakyo is the twin brother of the now dead Ukyo. Tesshu was clearly already aware of this fact, but it comes as a small surprise to the player. I didn't expect that. I mean, I knew there were two of them, but okay, well, I guess it's not really a surprise now that I think about it. I mean, they showed the two of them, so yeah. Sakyo removes his Sugegasa, preparing for the showdown. Tesshu, slowly rising from the corpse, with rolling lightning in the background, then deals this line.
If you hurry, you can catch your brother on his way to hell.
Tesshu wins for one-liners. Sakyo fights identically to Yukio, but this time no hat. We also fight identically and hurl grenades into his face. Before we deal our killing blow, Sakyo informs us that the town has been rigged with explosives, set to blow any moment now. I'm not even sure how Tesshu kills him here, but we hear the sound of a bone snap and his body crumbles to the ground. The twin brothers are now joined in hell. And now you can probably guess what happens next. We begin our cool guy walk away from the soon explosions, but wait! Some random dude manages to gut us like a fish. He then just stands there silently, waiting for us to grab his hair and break his neck.
That's real good.
Okay, Tesshu, now assumably mortally wounded, proceeds to own another Ronin, and the town begins to explode.
Sakyo, I'm sending some friends to join you. Another moth that wanted to be a firefly.
But thank God he does get to do the cool guy walk away from explosions, and the wah guitar definitely helps seal this moment as a hood classic. Then we see Rikimaru, who comes across a body with our signature needle protruding from its neck. Rikimaru remarks that they are even. I guess Rikimaru was sent to assassinate that guy. Tesshu's voice resonates, reiterating that if they meet again, one of them will die. I'm still wondering if that stab through the stomach is mortal wound or not. I guess not, because of this scene showing Tesshu, assumably sometime in the future, still working as an assassin, but the game doesn't indicate how much time has passed, and with the line of them meeting again and one of them dying, I wonder if this scene counts as them meeting and now he dies? It's obviously not the case, but the delivery was a bit weird. The narrator then gives some based critique of the legal system and admires the efficacy of the underground vigilante services.
Laws of legal systems will ever be fixed. But in the past, murder for hire was a profitable but dangerous underground business that filled in the holes of the law.
based. And with that, Tesshu's tale ends 4 missions shorter than the other 2 characters. It was clear the devs wanted to make a more gritty, almost criminal organization take on the classic shinobi experience, and with Tesshu's martial arts prowess, he uses his hands. It felt more like a beat 'em up kind of Bruce Lee style character. Did the story have much gravitas or intrigue? Not really, but as I've said before, this game doesn't need a good story. The gameplay stands on its own. Anything excess is just that, excess. And I'm saying this years after the release of this game. Even though it's old, it still stands up. With that, we return to the main menu and notice that we have now unlocked the secret mission through the portal. The premise of this mission is we follow Rikimaru after the events of the first game. As the castle collapses, Rikimaru follows after Lord Mayo into the mysterious portal. He is transported forward in time to 2021, where a biotech pharmaceutical company created a deadly disease and sold the cure for a large profit. Can I say this? I think it's safe to say that sentence in 2025 without this video becoming demonetized, I think. This fraudulent act is later uncovered by the government and investigative officials, but the CEO bribes his way out of jail. The devs had some incredible unintentional predictions with this level. When you look at the pandemic, the only things they got wrong was that in reality, the government would team up with the pharmaceutical company and that no one would be punished for defrauding the entire population. It would be nice if Fauci had a visit from Rikimaru, but such is fantasy. Rikimaru reads this news, I guess. He reads the news and sees this injustice. He just acclimatizes to modern life. I don't know, there's a lot of questions about this, but I don't know, Rikimaru just sees this and then decides that the CEO must be punished. And it's important to mention that this level is actually canon to the series. I wonder, like, after seeing the modern world, how does Rikimaru feel? Probably pretty pissed. We start with a predetermined loadout, and we will be using everything in order to succeed. We are thrust into a modern city setting, parking lots, basketball courts, with fat security guards patrolling the streets, protecting the wretched CEO. This mission is actually quite difficult, as we can't rely on our overpowered items or ninja abilities to help us. The enemies are also quite beefy, and some are armed with handguns, which fire 3 quick, painful, successive shots. This room in particular is quite challenging. There are 3 obese guards patrolling, all within line of sight of each other. Facing them in direct combat is challenging given our limited loadout and the fact we have none of our abilities.
How many cops are up here? We're gonna get fucked over. Run! Run! Alright.
Thus, the tools we are given actually become invaluable, as I use the rice ball to lure each guard out of the line of sight of the others and into a killable location unseen. We eventually infiltrate the CEO's headquarters and make it to his office. He is a blonde-haired, red-eyed cyborg. I guess that's another prediction they got wrong. The pharmaceutical company CEOs of our real world aren't exactly muscular Aryan men, but rather, I'm not gonna finish that sentence, but you know what they are. He wields a katana, and one of his arms crackles with electric energy, one of his visible cyborg implants. He is capable of blasting a ranged energy ball attack from his arm. He also has a devastating dash forward grab that catches us multiple times, feeding us shots to the stomach and a slash of his ninjato. His regular attacks are fast and far-reaching as well. He is perhaps the most difficult boss of the game, except for that one random ninja guy, but he still manages to best us. I repeat the mission, but this time I know we must use our given tools to our advantage. There's no way I can just go toe-to-toe with this cyborg boss without using my tools. This time I place caltrops throughout the arena, as they will temporarily stun him, allowing us to get in free attacks. I also step on them sometimes. We also get a bit lucky, narrowly evading his grab attacks. The battle rages for several minutes, using all of our items.
Oh! Where's the last caltrop? Just died, yeah. The caltrop got him!
But we managed to scrape a narrow victory from the corrupt cyborg freak. We stand over his lifeless body, when moments later we are struck by some unknown energy and Rikimaru disappears in a blue glow. Izayoi falls to the ground. We then get this final cinematic, and so ends the story of Tenchu Wrath of Heaven. I absolutely loved this game as a kid. The setting, the character design, the array of weapons, the incredible soundtrack. All of this works so well together and harmoniously to create a really good ninja experience. Being an adult now and revisiting this game, I must admit I have a bit of a nostalgia boner that definitely colors my perception of this game, but I want to say even with the fond memories of this game coloring my judgment and criticism, the game was still incredibly fun, especially considering that I'm no longer obsessed with ninjas or trying to be a ninja like when I was a young lad. Even without this childhood obsession or the childlike wonder and intrigue of the world of feudal Japan and their shinobis, I enjoyed this game more than most modern releases. The game is simple in what it sets out to be. No unnecessary flourishes or political pandering, no must-subversive story or Reddit tier dialogue, no Ubisoft-style busy work imposed on the player, no useless half-baked mechanics like crafting or colored loot. Well, actually some of the ability mechanics are absolutely half-baked and useless and don't even work, but still, this game is simply a stealth action game. Most importantly, it's fun. It does show its age with its clunkiness, of course, and the dialogue has that certain 80s action one-liner chic to it, but it's not meant to be profound or revolutionary in that sense. This was before movie games and how they wanted to take themselves so seriously. Man, this comes from a time where devs were creating games, not trying to create a movie and call it a game. A time where devs cared first and foremost about the gameplay, and Tenchu Wrath of Heaven's gameplay is where it shines brightest, even if it has some serious caveats to it. And as we wrap this video up, I wonder what the future holds for Tenchu. Despite the success and overall good reception of the first 3 games, the series hasn't had any new games since 2008, with the release of Tenchu Shadow Assassin for the Wii. The closest we got to a new contemporary Tenchu game was Sekiro, which FromSoft's Miyazaki, who, wanting to create a new intellectual property distinct from the Souls games, admitted to taking inspiration from Tenchu for the creation of Sekiro. The similarities between Sekiro and Tenchu are salient, and for better or worse, edge towards their Souls-like format. I would love to see a new installment in this series, but at the same time, my hope is tempered by a small amount of skepticism in terms of the quality. If you've gone through this video, you probably understand my faith in modern devs has dwindled over the past several years, but Japanese devs seem to be the most unaffected by the modern decay of game creation in comparison to Western devs. But I digress. If you have a chance and can look past dated graphics and some clunkiness, I would highly recommend trying this game for yourself. I also found that there was an HD reskin available for the emulator I'm running after I recorded all the footage. I'll leave a link to that as well if you want to run this game in HD. If you've made it this far, I thank you. Please consider touching the like button. It's just a like button, just click it, and leaving a comment with your thoughts on the game, or if you think I'm an idiot. If you'd like me to cover a specific game in a future video, feel free to let me know down below. When I'm collecting gameplay footage and doing research for these videos, I do stream them, so come chill with me sometime. Thanks again, and take care.